You have been trying to fix your mind through effort, but anxiety seems to resist even more. You feel exhausted from fighting yourself so much. Buddhist wisdom, refined for over 2,500 years, teaches that healing power comes not from struggle, but from gentle acceptance. These simple techniques do not require force, only your attention. They activate a deep healing that already exists within you, waiting to be discovered. Prepare to sleep while listening to this video. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your like and comment from which part of the world you are watching. Get comfortable and relax. Let's begin. Have you ever noticed how much extra suffering we add to our physical pain just by how we think about it? The real game changer isn't necessarily eliminating discomfort, but changing our relationship to it. And that is the very heart of mindfulness meditation. This practice, often called satipatthana in the ancient Pali language, is far more than simple relaxation. It is a profound training in how to be present with things exactly as they are. The core idea is deceptively simple: to observe the sensations in your body and the chatter in your mind without getting swept away by judgment or stories. When a sharp pain appears, our instinct is to tense up, to resist, to scream internally that it should not be here. This resistance is like adding a second layer of suffering on top of the original sensation. Mindfulness meditation teaches you to uncouple the raw physical sensation from the mental narrative of panic, fear, or aversion. You learn to sit with the pain, not as an enemy, but as a neutral phenomenon you are investigating. You might note it as a feeling of heat, or throbbing, or pressure, observing its changing nature without getting lost in the thought that this will last forever. This shift from reaction to simple observation is where the first and most immediate form of healing occurs. The mental storm calms, and in that calm, the body's own natural intelligence can function more effectively. A major component of this practice is the body scan meditation, a technique where you systematically move your attention through different parts of your body. You are not trying to change anything or achieve a special state of bliss. You are simply bringing a curious and kind awareness to each area, from the tips of your toes to the top of your head. What you often discover are pockets of tension you are completely unaware of, little corners of your body that are perpetually braced for impact. By shining the light of your awareness there, you are not just finding tension, you are beginning the process of releasing it. It is like walking into a dark room and turning on a light. The darkness, which is the unconscious holding, simply vanishes. This regular practice of checking in with your body helps you catch these tension patterns before they crystallize into more serious issues like chronic pain, headaches, or digestive problems. It is preventative medicine at its most fundamental level. The connection between a calm mind and a healthy body is not just a spiritual concept. It is a physiological reality. When you are stuck in a cycle of stress and anxiety, your body is flooded with hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. This is the famous fight or flight response, which is brilliant for escaping an immediate threat but terribly damaging when activated constantly by our thoughts. This state diverts energy and resources away from long-term projects like cellular repair, immune function, and digestion. Your body's priority becomes survival, not maintenance. The deep relaxation fostered by mindfulness meditation does the exact opposite. It signals to your nervous system that the coast is clear, that it is safe to stand down. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode. In this state, your heart rate slows, your blood pressure decreases, and your body can redirect its energy toward healing, regeneration, and homeostasis. It is like allowing the maintenance crew to come out and fix the potholes and clean the streets after a storm has passed. Furthermore, the practice literally reshapes your brain. Through the power of neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. Consistent meditation strengthens the prefrontal cortex. This is the area associated with executive functions like emotional regulation, decision-making, and focus. Simultaneously, it can calm down the amygdala, your brain's alarm bell, making it less reactive to perceived threats, including the threat of pain. This means you are not just feeling better in the moment, you are building a more resilient and emotionally balanced brain over time. This new brain is less likely to catastrophize a minor ache and is better equipped to handle the genuine challenges of illness or injury. So how do you actually start this practice? You do not need any special equipment or a huge amount of time. You can begin by simply sitting comfortably in a quiet place and focusing your attention on the physical sensation of your breath. Notice the cool air entering your nostrils and the slightly warmer air leaving. Feel your abdomen rise and fall. Your mind will wander. That is not a mistake. It is the entire point of the exercise. The moment you realize you have been carried away by a thought about what to make for dinner or a worry from work, you gently and without any self-criticism guide your attention back to the breath. That moment of noticing and returning is like a rep for your mindfulness muscle. Each time you do it, you are strengthening your ability to stay present. From this anchor in the breath, you can expand your awareness to include sounds, then bodily sensations as a whole, and eventually even the flow of thoughts and emotions themselves. You start to see thoughts as just thoughts, not absolute truths. You see emotions as temporary energy passing through the body, not as your permanent identity. This is incredibly liberating when dealing with the fear and anxiety that often accompany sickness. You realize, through direct experience, that you are not your pain, and you are not your fearful thoughts about the pain. There is a part of you, the observing awareness, that can hold it all without being crushed by it. This does not mean the pain magically vanishes, though sometimes its intensity does diminish when you stop fighting it. It means the pain has lost its power to dominate your entire existence. You create an internal environment of spaciousness and acceptance, and it is within this environment that the body's own innate and powerful healing mechanisms can operate most effectively. You are learning to respond to your body's signals with wisdom instead of reacting with blind panic. This is the true activation of your healing power, a power that was always there, simply waiting for the noisy chatter of the mind to quiet down enough for it to get to work. This practice is a journey of befriending yourself, of learning the landscape of your own inner world with a kind and curious heart. It is about reclaiming the authority over your own well-being, not by fighting what is wrong, but by fully inhabiting the present moment with all it contains. The healing is found in the acceptance, in the stillness, and in the profound understanding that this body and this mind, with all their imperfections, are capable of remarkable resilience and peace. Now that we have a foundation in observing our experiences with mindful awareness, we can build upon that by actively cultivating a specific quality of heart, a gentle and powerful force that directly counteracts the inner critic and the sense of separation that often amplifies our suffering. This practice is known as metta, or loving-kindness meditation, and it is essentially a systematic training in generating unconditional friendliness and benevolence, first towards ourselves and then radiating outward to include all beings. It is not about forcing a fake feeling or pretending everything is fine when it is not. Instead, it is about planting seeds of goodwill and watering them patiently, allowing a genuine sense of care to grow even in the most barren emotional landscapes. The practice begins with you. This is its first and most crucial lesson. Many of us walk through life with a subtle undercurrent of self-judgment, a voice that constantly critiques our appearance, our actions, and our very worth. This internal hostility is a profound source of stress, and stress is a known inhibitor of the body's natural healing processes. Metta meditation directly addresses this by teaching you to become a friend to yourself. You start by sitting quietly, perhaps after a few minutes of mindful breathing to settle the mind, and then you gently repeat a series of phrases directed at your own being. Classic phrases include, "May I be happy," "May I be healthy," "May I be safe," "May I live with ease." You do not need to manufacture a specific emotional response. The power is in the sincere intention behind the words. You are setting a direction for your heart, orienting it towards care rather than criticism. As you continue this practice, something subtle begins to shift. The harsh inner voice might not disappear overnight, but it loses its dominance. You start to create a little space, a sanctuary of self-acceptance within yourself. This is not self-indulgence. It is the foundation of all genuine compassion. You cannot draw water from an empty well. By learning to offer kindness to yourself, you fill your own well. And from that abundance, you can truly offer care to others. This leads to the next stage of the practice, where you systematically extend these wishes of well-being to others. You might bring to mind a benefactor, someone who has been kind to you, and offer them the same phrases. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you live with ease. Then, you bring to mind a neutral person, someone you see but do not know well, like a checkout clerk or a neighbour, recognizing their inherent desire for happiness just like your own. The practice then courageously invites you to include a difficult person in your wishes, not because what they did was okay, but because you are freeing your own heart from the poison of resentment that only harms you. Finally, you expand the circle to include all beings everywhere, without exception. This systematic expansion is alchemical. It directly dismantles the illusion of separation that is at the root of so much of our loneliness and fear. When you feel connected to a vast web of life, your personal struggles, while still real, feel less isolating. This sense of interconnection is a powerful antidote to the stress that exacerbates physical illness. Now, let us talk about the tangible, physiological mechanics of how this practice acts as a healing balm. When you engage in a sustained practice of cultivating loving kindness, you are essentially reprogramming your nervous system. The body cannot distinguish between a genuinely felt emotion and one that is vividly conjured through meditation. When you repeatedly generate feelings of care and benevolence, your brain responds as if those conditions are real. This leads to a measurable decrease in the production of stress hormones like cortisol. Chronically high cortisol levels are linked to a suppressed immune system, inflammation, high blood pressure, and a slowed healing process. Simultaneously, the practice stimulates the release of oxytocin, often called the bonding or love hormone. Oxytocin promotes feelings of trust, calm, and safety. It counteracts the effects of cortisol and encourages a state of deep physiological relaxation, the very state in which the body's self-repair mechanisms operate most efficiently. This is the rest and digest state, the opposite of the fight or flight response. You are literally signaling to your body that it is safe to heal. This physiological shift has direct implications for physical recovery. You can use metta as a targeted tool. If you have a specific area of your body that is injured or in pain, you can direct the flow of these kind wishes directly to that spot. Imagine the area being bathed in a warm dot, gentle, golden light, with each repetition of the phrase, "May this part of my body be healthy and at ease." You are not trying to magically erase the pain. You are changing your relationship to it. You are replacing a narrative of battle and resistance with one of care and support. This mental shift can reduce the tension that often clamps down around a painful area, allowing for better blood flow and a more relaxed response, which can genuinely influence the rate of healing. The healing power of metta is perhaps most evident when it comes to our emotional wounds. We all carry old resentments, past hurts, and hidden pockets of grief. These are not just abstract memories. They live in our bodies as chronic tension, affecting our posture, our breathing, and our overall vitality. Holding on to anger towards someone who wronged you is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. Metta practice offers a way to metabolize that poison. By including a difficult person in your circle of goodwill, you are not condoning their actions. You are simply acknowledging their shared humanity and their own suffering, which likely led them to act in harmful ways. This does not happen quickly, and it is not about forgetting. It is a gradual process of releasing the internal grip that a past event has on you. Each time you offer a phrase of kindness, even if it feels hollow at first, you are sanding down the sharp edges of that memory. You are creating new neural pathways that associate that person with neutrality or even compassion, rather than with the old, familiar spike of anger. This emotional release is profoundly liberating and frees up a tremendous amount of mental and physical energy that was previously tied up in maintaining the grudge. That freed energy can now be redirected towards your own healing and well-being. Furthermore, integrating metta into your nightly routine can be a game changer for sleep, which is a cornerstone of health. Practicing for just a few minutes before you drift off can calm the nervous system and quiet the mind's anxious chatter. Instead of lying in bed ruminating over the day's stresses or worrying about tomorrow, you fill your mental space with soothing, positive intentions. This creates an internal environment conducive to falling asleep faster and enjoying deeper, more restorative sleep cycles. Quality sleep is when the body does most of its repair work, from tissue regeneration to memory consolidation. By using metta as a sleep aid, you are actively supporting this critical healing process. In essence, metta is a practice of coming home to the fundamental truth that you are worthy of care, and that this care is not a finite resource. It is a renewable energy that grows stronger the more you share it. It heals by softening the heart, calming the body, and reminding us that we are not alone in our journey. It is a practical, powerful, and profoundly human technology for wellness that anyone can learn and benefit from, starting right now in this very moment. Building on the idea of cultivating positive mental states, we now explore an even more active use of the mind's innate capacity to influence the body through the powerful tools of healing visualization and the resonant power of sacred sounds. This is not about wishful thinking or escaping reality. It is a focused and deliberate practice that taps into the brain's incredible inability to perfectly distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Think about a time you had a vivid nightmare. Your heart was pounding. You were sweating, even though you were safe in your bed. Your nervous system responded to the mental imagery as if it were actually happening. Healing visualization uses this very same principle, but for a beneficial purpose. In traditions like Tibetan Buddhism, practitioners might spend time visualizing their body being filled with a brilliant, soothing light, often imagined as a specific color like white or blue, which represents healing and purification. They might imagine this light as a warm, liquid nectar that slowly pours into every cell, washing away stagnation, illness, and emotional blockages. Another common visualization involves picturing a benevolent deity or a Buddha figure, like the medicine Buddha, seated in front of or even merging with you, their body radiating this same healing energy directly into your own. The key is to engage all your senses in this inner world. You are not just seeing the light, you are feeling its warmth. You might even imagine a specific sound or a fragrance associated with it. This multi-sensory engagement makes the visualization more potent and real to your brain. What happens then is fascinating from a scientific perspective. This focused mental imagery can activate the same neural pathways and stimulate similar physiological responses as if the event were physically occurring. For instance, visualizing a peaceful scene can lower your heart rate and reduce stress hormones. When you visualize healing light penetrating a specific injured or diseased part of your body, you are essentially sending a powerful command to your autonomic nervous system. This can potentially stimulate immune cell activity, improve local blood circulation, and promote a state of relaxation in that specific area, all of which are conducive to the body's natural repair mechanisms. It is a way of using your mind to directly communicate with your body's innate intelligence, telling it to prioritize healing and restoration in a targeted way. This practice works hand in hand with another profound tool, the recitation and listening of sutras. Sutras are the recorded discourses of the Buddha, and they are considered more than just philosophical texts. They are seen as vessels of transformative energy. The Medicine Buddha Sutra, for example, is specifically focused on healing. The practice involves either reciting the words yourself or listening attentively to them being chanted. This is not a passive listening experience like background music. It is an active meditation where you immerse yourself in the sounds and the intentions behind the words. The sound vibrations themselves are believed to have a harmonizing effect on the body's subtle energy systems. Much like a tuning fork can bring a musical instrument into pitch, the specific resonant frequencies of these sacred syllables are said to tune and balance your own internal energy. This concept leads us to the idea of the subtle body, which is a map of the inner landscape used in many Buddhist and yogic traditions. This map includes energy channels, often called nadis, and energy centers, known as chakras. According to this view, disease often starts as a blockage or imbalance in the flow of this vital life force, or prana. Through these channels, visualizations and mantra recitations are designed specifically to address these blockages. You might visualize the healing light flowing through these specific channels, clearing any obstructions like a plumber clearing a pipe. Or you might focus a mantra's vibration on a particular chakra that feels out of balance. The combination of the mental image and the physical vibration of the sound creates a powerful synergy for restoring energetic harmony. This entire process relies on two key components: deep concentration, known as samadhi, and a quality of heartfelt faith or confident belief. The concentration is necessary to hold the visualization steady without the mind constantly wandering off. It is the laser beam focus that directs the mind's energy. The faith is not a blind belief in something external, but rather a trust in your own inherent capacity to heal, and in the process itself, it is the confident expectation that this practice is effective. This belief is a crucial psychological factor, especially when dealing with chronic or serious illnesses. When you truly believe that you can influence your health, you move from a state of helplessness to one of empowerment. This shift in mindset can reduce the stress and despair that often worsen a physical condition. Visualization reinforces this intrinsic belief in your ability to heal because you are actively participating in your own recovery. You are not just a passive patient waiting for a treatment to work. You are an active agent in your healing journey. This sense of agency can be incredibly motivating and hope-giving. It is important to approach this practice with a sense of openness and experimentation, not with desperate pressure. You do not need to achieve a perfect, crystal-clear image in your mind for it to work. The intention and the feeling behind the practice are far more important than the visual clarity. If you cannot see a detailed image of light, just think the concept strongly or feel the sensation of warmth and healing. The mind-body connection will still respond to the sincere intention. You can start small, find a quiet space, take a few deep breaths to settle in, and then bring your attention to a part of your body that needs care. Imagine a gentle, warm light beginning to glow in that area. With each inhale, imagine this light growing brighter and more expansive. With each exhale, Imagine it dissolving any discomfort or tension. You can combine this with a simple period, soothing sound, or a silent mental repetition of a word like peace or heal. Similarly, you can explore the use of sound by listening to recordings of sutra chants or simple mantras, focusing entirely on the vibrations and allowing them to wash over you. The goal is to create a consistent practice, even if it is just for a few minutes each day. Over time, this regular mental training strengthens the neural pathways associated with healing and relaxation, making it easier to access this state of restorative calm whenever you need it. It is a way of reprogramming your default response to pain and illness from one of fear and contraction to one of compassionate, focused attention. By harnessing the twin powers of creative visualization and resonant sound, you are essentially learning the language your body understands on a deep, subconscious level, a language of energy, intention, and innate wholeness. After exploring how we can actively use our imagination and sound to influence our well-being, it's natural to wonder about the deeper roots of why illness appears in our lives in the first place. This brings us to a fundamental Buddhist concept that offers a profound and often misunderstood perspective on healing: the relationship between karma and disease. In the simplest terms, karma is the universal law of cause and effect. It is not a system of punishment or reward from a judgmental entity, but a natural principle. Much like the law of gravity, every action we take, whether physical, verbal, or mental, plants a seed. These seeds remain in our mind stream, and when conditions are right, they ripen into our experiences. From a Buddhist viewpoint, a disease can be understood as the maturation of certain karmic seeds from our past. This might sound frightening, or like a reason for self-blame, but that is a complete misinterpretation. The real power of this understanding is that it shifts us from being passive victims of random misfortune to being active participants in shaping our health destiny. If our present circumstances are the result of past causes, then our present actions are the causes that will shape our future. This is incredibly empowering. It means we are not stuck. We have the agency to plant new, healthier seeds and to purify the old, negative ones before they manifest as physical or mental disease. This is where specific practices come into play, designed to work directly with this karmic framework. One of the most important is the practice of proactive repentance and the application of the four powers. This is not about feeling guilty or wallowing in shame over past mistakes. That kind of negative emotion is itself a poison. Instead, this is a courageous and practical method for spiritual hygiene. The first power is the power of support or reliance. This involves connecting with something greater than your small, limited self. Whether you conceive of that as the Buddha, your own innate potential for awakening, or the collective wisdom of all enlightened beings, it is about tapping into a source of pure, unconditioned energy that can help dissolve the stains of negative karma. The second power is the power of regret. This is not guilt. It is a clear and sober recognition that certain actions in your past, whether in this life or beyond your current memory, have been harmful and have created the potential for suffering. It is the simple and powerful understanding that I caused this, which immediately removes the energy of blaming others or the universe. The third power is the power of remedy. This is the active part where you engage in practices to counteract the negative momentum. This could be doing meditation, reciting mantras or sutras, making offerings, or performing acts of generosity. Each positive action is like an antidote, actively neutralizing the poison of a past negative action. The fourth power is the power of resolve. This is a firm commitment not to repeat the harmful action in the future. It is not a promise of perfection, but a sincere intention to do your best, understanding that breaking old habits takes time and mindful effort. Together, These four powers create a comprehensive process for purifying your karmic field, allowing you to literally change your future. Another profound shift that comes from understanding karma is in how we relate to pain itself. When illness strikes, our usual reaction is one of rebellion and anger. Why me? This is so unfair. This resistance creates a layer of mental suffering on top of the physical sensation. However, when we can contemplate that this experience might have causes we ourselves set in motion, however unknowingly, it can lead to a profound acceptance. This is not a passive resignation or a defeatist attitude. It is a serene and clear-minded acknowledgement of reality as it is. By accepting the pain as a result of karma, we stop fighting it. We drop the story of injustice. This doesn't make the physical pain vanish, but it completely dissolves the mental anguish that amplifies it. The energy that was previously spent on resistance and anger is now freed up and can be redirected towards healing and personal growth. This acceptance creates the mental calm necessary for the body's own healing mechanisms to operate optimally. Furthermore, this perspective encourages us to actively cultivate a karma of health. Just as we can purify past negatives, we can proactively plant seeds for future vitality and resilience. This is done through virtuous actions, known as creating merit. Acts of generosity, whether giving your time, resources, or simply a kind word, create positive karmic imprints. Ethical conduct, like speaking truthfully and acting with kindness, protects your mind from the agitation that comes with guilt and deception, creating a peaceful internal environment. Practicing patience reduces the internal stress that is so damaging to the body. All these actions are not just morally good, they are pragmatically wise. They build a foundation of mental and physical robustness that makes you less susceptible to disease and better equipped to handle it if it does arise. This karmic view also provides a deep and meaningful context for suffering that is often missing in a purely materialistic worldview. Without this context, illness can feel utterly random, meaningless, and cruel. This sense of meaninglessness can be a source of deep despair, which itself hinders healing. The understanding of karma offers a narrative that makes sense of the suffering. It transforms the experience of disease from a pointless tragedy into a potential pathway for awakening. It becomes a teacher. It forces us to look inward, to confront our habits, our attachments, and our aversions. It can be the very catalyst that prompts us to deepen our spiritual practice, to develop compassion for ourselves and others who suffer, and to truly appreciate the preciousness of our life and health. In this way, the karma of illness is not a life sentence. It is an invitation to evolve. It asks us to take responsibility not as a burden, but as a key to our own liberation. By working with these principles, we are not just trying to get rid of a symptom, we are engaging in a holistic process of transformation that addresses the very roots of suffering in our mind. This approach complements all other healing modalities. You can and should seek the best medical care available and simultaneously work on this inner karmic level. The two are not in conflict. They are complementary dimensions of the same healing journey. The doctor treats the physical manifestation, while you work on the underlying energetic and karmic causes. This integrated approach is the essence of the middle way, avoiding the extremes of denying physical reality on one hand and feeling hopelessly victimized by it on the other. Ultimately, understanding and transforming the karma of disease is about reclaiming your narrative. It is about shifting from asking, "Why is this happening to me?" to asking, "What can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? What actions can I take now to create a healthier future for myself and others?" This is the journey from being a patient to being a warrior on the path of healing, armed not with weapons, but with wisdom, compassion, and the unwavering knowledge that your present actions hold the power to shape your destiny. Having explored how we can reshape our future health by understanding and working with the causes and conditions of our actions, we now venture into a teaching that challenges the very foundation of how we perceive suffering itself. What if the solid, unshakable reality of your pain or illness is not quite as real or permanent as it feels? The Heart Sutra, one of the most revered texts in Mahayana Buddhism, presents a radical and profound insight into the nature of reality that can completely transform your relationship with sickness and health. This sutra is famous for its deep exploration of sunyata, often translated as emptiness or voidness. This does not mean that nothing exists or that everything is a nihilistic void. Instead, emptiness points to the fact that all phenomena, including our bodies, our pains, and our diseases, lack a separate, independent, and permanent existence. Everything arises in dependence upon other causes and conditions. A disease is not a solid, invading entity that has conquered you. It is a temporary gathering of factors, a virus, a genetic predisposition, environmental triggers, dietary habits, mental states, and karmic imprints, all coming together in a specific way at a specific time. It is a process, not a thing. Meditating on this truth through the lens of the Heart Sutra helps to deconstruct the solid and terrifying perception we have of pain and illness. When a sharp pain arises, our habitual mind immediately solidifies it into a monolithic enemy called my pain. We build a story around it. We fear its permanence, and we identify with it completely. This mental hardening is what turns a simple sensation into immense suffering. The practice of meditating on the Heart Sutra involves observing these sensations with the understanding that they are empty of inherent existence. You learn to see the pain not as a solid block, but as a flowing, changing stream of sensations. A tingling here, a throbbing there, a heat that comes and goes. You notice how it changes with your breath, with your movement, with your mental focus. This investigative awareness reveals the impermanent and composite nature of what you are experiencing. By seeing the disease as a temporary aggregate of causes and conditions, the fear that tightly wraps around it begins to loosen its grip. The monster in the dark loses its power when you shine the light of wisdom on it and see it for what it is. A collection of fleeting parts, not a single, terrifying whole. This practice goes right to the root of all suffering, which is our attachment to a fixed and separate self. We have this deeply ingrained belief in an I that is solid, unchanging, and under attack from the disease. We feel like a victim, a separate self being assaulted by an external force called illness. The Heart Sutra, with its famous proclamation that form is emptiness, emptiness is form, dismantles this very illusion. It reveals that the one who is sick is also empty of a separate self. The body is a process, the mind is a flow of thoughts and sensations, and the idea of a permanent me at the centre of it all is the fundamental misconception. When you meditate on this, you start to experience moments where the solid sense of I, as a victim of the disease, softens. You might still feel the physical sensations, but the added layer of mental anguish, the why me, and the I cannot bear this, begins to dissolve. This is not a denial of the experience, but a profound shift in perspective. You are not eliminating the pain, you are eliminating the sufferer. This insight is incredibly liberating. It creates a space, a freedom, within the very heart of the experience. In that space, a deeper truth can be recognized. Your true nature, what is sometimes called Buddha nature, is inherently pure, luminous, and untouched by the temporary states of health and disease. This nature is not something you need to acquire. It is what you already are, beneath the layers of conditioning and identification. The body may be temporarily unwell, but the aware, spacious consciousness that knows the body, that knows the pain, is itself inherently healthy and whole. It is like the sky. Clouds of illness may pass through, but the sky itself remains clear and undamaged. Realizing this, even intellectually at first, provides a profound anchor during times of physical distress. You are not just a body that is sick. You are the vast awareness in which this entire play of health and sickness arises and passes away. This understanding is the ultimate healing, because it redefines what health means. Health is no longer merely the absence of symptoms, but the abiding recognition of this fundamental wholeness, regardless of the body's current condition. A practical way to work with this is through the recitation and contemplation of the Heart Sutra itself. You do not need to fully comprehend its profound philosophy intellectually to benefit from it. The very act of reciting the words, either silently or aloud, has a calming and transformative effect on the mind. The sounds and rhythms of the sutra can settle the nervous system, slowing down the frantic thought patterns that amplify suffering. As you recite, you can gently contemplate key phrases. For instance, when you feel pain, you can reflect on the line: no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. This is not a denial of your senses, but a pointing to the fact that these are not solid, independent entities. They are interdependent processes that are themselves empty. This contemplation helps to deconstruct the solid sense of a body part that is broken or sick. You can also sit in meditation and simply observe the sensations in the body, applying the view of emptiness. As a sensation arises, you label it mentally not as my pain, but as sensation, tingling, pressure, noting its empty, impermanent nature. You watch it arise, you watch it change, and you watch it pass without grabbing onto it or pushing it away. This cultivates a deep equanimity. The fear of impermanence, which is a major source of anxiety around chronic or terminal illness, is also directly addressed. We fear sickness because we fear decline and death. We fear the loss of this solid self. The Heart Sutra's wisdom allows you to make peace with impermanence by showing you that nothing was ever permanent to begin with. Everything, including your very sense of self, is in a constant, flowing state of change. When you stop resisting this fundamental truth, a tremendous amount of energy is released. The energy that was spent fighting reality can now be used for living fully in the present moment, whatever it contains. This practice does not replace medical treatment, it complements it perfectly. You can be actively engaged in your medical care, taking medication, undergoing therapy, eating well, while simultaneously holding the view of emptiness. This is the middle way in action. You take care of the relative, conventional reality of the body without being trapped by the belief in its solidity. You do what is necessary without the added burden of fear and identification. Over time, this meditation reconditions your mind. It builds a resilience that is not based on the body being a certain way, but on the unshakable understanding of your true nature. It heals the deepest wound, the illusion of separation, and the fear of annihilation. The journey with the Heart Sutra is a journey from being a person suffering from a disease to being the open, aware space in which the dance of form and emptiness, health and sickness freely plays out. It is about coming home to a peace that cannot be disturbed by the changing conditions of the body, a peace that is your birthright and your ultimate refuge. Moving from the profound philosophical depths of the Heart Sutra, we find a beautiful and practical embodiment of its wisdom in the direct, no-nonsense approach of Zen. Zen Buddhism strips away all complexity and brings us right back to the raw, immediate experience of this very moment. And it is in this radical simplicity that a powerful form of healing unfolds. The core of Zen practice is often found in zazen, or seated meditation. This is not about achieving altered states or special visions. It is about the profound discipline of just sitting. Posture is everything in zazen. You are taught to sit with a straight spine, your ears in line with your shoulders, and your chin slightly tucked. This alignment is not just for physical comfort, it is the physical expression of an alert and dignified mind. Then there is the breath. Zen emphasizes deep abdominal breathing, allowing the diaphragm to drop with each inhale and rise with each exhale. This kind of breathing massages the internal organs, oxygenates the blood deeply, and directly stimulates the vagus nerve, which is the main component of your parasympathetic nervous system, triggering the body's relaxation response. This foundation of correct posture and breathing is seen as the bedrock of integral health, harmonizing the body and mind from the ground up. Alongside zazen, there is kinhin, or walking meditation. This is not a brisk walk to get somewhere. It is a slow, mindful procession where each step is taken with full awareness, synchronized with the breath. You might take one step for each full inhalation and exhalation. This practice integrates the calm and focus from seated meditation into movement, preventing stiffness and teaching you to carry that mindful presence into all your activities. It is a gentle way to keep the energy flowing and to break the habit of living entirely in your head. The pinnacle of zazen is often considered shikantaza, which translates roughly to just sitting. This is a deceptively simple practice. You are not focusing on a mantra, visualizing a light, or trying to achieve any particular state. You are simply sitting, aware of whatever arises, sounds, sensations, thoughts, without grabbing onto any of it or pushing anything away. The instruction is to just be fully and completely. This practice is a direct antidote to the primary source of so much of our stress and psychosomatic imbalance, mental rumination. The constant chattering, worrying, planning, and replaying of past events in our minds creates a low-grade state of chronic stress that wreaks havoc on our physical health. By practicing shikantaza, you are not trying to stop the thoughts, you are simply interrupting your identification with them. You see the thought as a thought, and you let it pass like a cloud in the sky. This breaks the cycle of stress at its source. When the mental noise settles, the body's nervous system can finally drop into a state of true rest and repair. Another fascinating tool in Zen is the use of koans. These are enigmatic riddles or questions that cannot be solved by the logical, rational mind. A famous example is, what is the sound of one hand clapping? The practitioner sits with this question, not to find an intellectual answer, but to allow it to dismantle their ordinary way of thinking. In the context of healing, koans can be used to break apart our most deeply held dualistic concepts, such as healthy versus sick. We tend to see health as good and sickness as bad, and we fight against the latter with all our might. A koan can shatter this duality, leading towards a non-dual perception of life where everything just is what it is. This does not mean you become passive or indifferent. It means you stop wasting energy fighting reality. You see the illness as part of the total picture of your life in this moment, without the added layer of judgment and resistance. This acceptance is not weakness. It is a tremendous source of strength and clarity. The simplicity of Zen extends far beyond the meditation hall. The entire aesthetic and ritualistic aspect of Zen, from the sparse beauty of a rock garden to the precise, mindful movements of the tea ceremony, is designed to cultivate mindfulness in every single action. When you participate in a tea ceremony, you are not just drinking tea. You are fully present with the sound of the water boiling, the feel of the bowl in your hands, the aroma of the tea, and the taste of each sip. This transforms an ordinary activity into a profound meditation. The idea is to bring this same quality of attention to everything you do: brushing your teeth, washing dishes, typing on a keyboard. When you do this, your entire daily life becomes a continuous therapy session. You are constantly training your mind to be present, which prevents it from spiraling into the anxiety and stress that exacerbate physical ailments. This moment-to-moment awareness is where healing truly lives. Central to Zen is the concept of no mind, or mushin. This is a state where the mind is free from discursive thought, ego, and attachment. It is not a state of blankness, but one of pure, spontaneous functioning. In terms of healing, the emphasis on no mind and detachment from results is crucial. Often, our desire to get better, to be healed, is so strong that it creates a tremendous anxiety. We are constantly monitoring our symptoms, worrying about the future, and trying to control the outcome. This very anxiety, born from the ego's need for a specific result, interferes with the body's natural ability to heal itself. The body knows how to heal a cut, fight an infection, and repair cells. But when the mind is filled with fear and the pressure to get better, it keeps the nervous system in a sympathetic, stressed state, which directly inhibits these natural processes. Zen teaches you to let go. You do the practices, you sit in zazen, you eat mindfully, you move with awareness, but you release your tight grip on the outcome. You trust the process. You allow the body to do what it knows how to do without the constant interference of your anxious ego. This creates the ideal internal environment for recovery, one of deep physiological relaxation and mental peace. Ultimately, the training in Zen develops a fierce resilience and a quiet, unwavering acceptance of what is. This is not a resignation. It is a profound courage to face reality exactly as it presents itself. When you have a health challenge, this resilience allows you to meet it with balance and clarity, without being overwhelmed by fear or despair. You learn to be with pain without being consumed by it. You learn to be with uncertainty without being paralyzed by it. This mental state is perhaps the most powerful medicine you can cultivate. It does not guarantee that every illness will vanish, but it ensures that you can navigate any health journey with a heart and mind that are whole, calm, and deeply rooted in the present moment. This is the art of healing in radical simplicity, returning again and again to the truth of this breath, this step, this sensation, and finding therein a wholeness that can never be broken. While the Zen approach finds profound power in radical simplicity and just sitting, other traditions demonstrate that the mind's influence over the body can be directed with intense, focused precision, almost like a form of inner alchemy. This brings us to Tummo, an advanced yogic practice from the Tibetan Buddhist tradition that is often called the yoga of inner heat. It is a fascinating and powerful method that uses a sophisticated combination of breath control, intense visualization, and unwavering concentration to generate a palpable psychophysiological heat throughout the entire body. This is not a metaphorical warmth. Practitioners of Tummo can actually raise their core body temperature significantly, a phenomenon that has been documented in scientific studies. The practice is described as igniting an inner fire that blazes along the central channel of the subtle body, burning away physical and mental impurities. This purifying heat is said to cleanse the nervous system and the intricate network of energy channels known as nadis, which are considered the pathways for our vital life force, or prana. When these channels are blocked or congested by the residues of negative emotions, stress, or past traumas, the flow of energy is disrupted, and this stagnation is seen in many traditions as a root cause of disease. Tummo works directly at this level, using the generated heat to melt these blockages much like heat applied to ice, restoring a smooth and harmonious flow of energy throughout the entire system. The process begins with specific breathing techniques that are far more vigorous than the calm abdominal breathing of Zen. These often involve forceful exhalations and retentions, rhythmic pumping of the abdomen, and a focused visualization of a seed syllable or a tiny, intense flame at the navel center. The practitioner visualizes this flame growing with each breath, spreading its heat upwards through the central channel, and then radiating outwards through the entire network of subtle channels to every single cell in the body. The concentration required is immense. The mind must be completely one-pointed, holding the image of the fire and the sensation of heat without distraction. This combination of physical breath manipulation and mental focus creates a feedback loop where the mind's intention directly stimulates physiological responses. The body begins to respond as if it is actually in a hot environment, even if the external temperature is cold. This has dramatic effects on the immune system. The intense heat is believed to create an internal environment that is inhospitable to pathogens and dysfunctional cells, while simultaneously stimulating the production and activity of immune cells. The practice is renowned for drastically strengthening the body's resilience and its ability to fight off illness. Furthermore, Tummo grants practitioners an extraordinary ability to regulate their core body temperature, a skill famously demonstrated by Tibetan monks who can dry cold, wet sheets draped over their bodies in freezing temperatures through the power of this meditation alone. This is not a party trick. It is a profound demonstration of the mind's capacity to override autonomic physiological processes that most of us consider completely beyond our conscious control. Things like body temperature, heart rate, and even certain aspects of immune response are managed by the autonomic nervous system, which operates largely without our conscious input. Tummo shows that with dedicated training, the mind can learn to communicate with and direct these systems. This is incredibly empowering for anyone on a healing journey because it shatters the limiting belief that the body operates on its own, separate from our will and intention. It provides tangible evidence that we are not passive victims of our biology, but active participants who can influence our inner landscape in profound ways. The practice also works deeply on a psychological level. The inner fire is not just for physical purification, it is also a tool for burning up the mental poisons of attachment, aversion, and ignorance. As you visualize the heat consuming all impurities, you are also engaging in a powerful symbolic act of releasing old grudges, fears, and negative thought patterns that contribute to mental stress and, consequently, physical dis-ease. The heat is seen as a transformative force that alchemizes negative emotional energy into wisdom and compassion. This aspect of the practice helps to heal the emotional wounds that often underpin or exacerbate chronic health conditions. It is important to state very clearly that Tummo is not a practice to be learned from a book or a video online. It is an advanced technique that requires the direct transmission and careful guidance of a qualified and experienced master. The reasons for this are serious. The powerful energies awakened in Tummo can be disruptive or even harmful if not channeled correctly. A teacher provides not only the precise instructions, but also the necessary safeguards and personalized adjustments to ensure the practice unfolds safely and effectively. They can help the student navigate the powerful physical and energetic sensations that arise, which can sometimes be intense or overwhelming for the unprepared. Without this guidance, there is a risk of creating further imbalances in the subtle body, which could manifest as physical or psychological issues. Therefore, the first step for anyone interested in Tummo is to find a genuine lineage and a trustworthy teacher. However, even if you never formally practiced Tummo, its very existence and demonstrated effects offer a profound inspiration. The principles behind it can fill you with confidence in your own innate potential for self-healing. It stands as a living testament to the idea that the human mind, when properly trained and focused, possesses virtually limitless capacities to affect the body. This knowledge alone can be a powerful shift in mindset. If a trained mind can consciously raise its body temperature in a freezing environment, then what other aspects of our health can we influence with focused intention and practice? It encourages us to believe in the possibility of our own transformation and healing, not as a distant hope, but as a tangible potential waiting to be unlocked. It bridges the gap between the spiritual and the scientific, showing that these ancient practices have real, measurable effects on the human organism. In your own journey, you can draw inspiration from Tummo's core message, that your mind is a potent tool for affecting your physical state. While you may start with simpler mindfulness or breathing exercises, knowing that such advanced control is possible can motivate you to deepen your practice consistently. It reinforces the idea that healing is not a passive process, but an active engagement, a partnership between your conscious awareness and your body's innate intelligence. The inner alchemy of Tummo reminds us that within each of us lies a dormant fire, a source of immense vitality and purification, and that with the right key, that fire can be awakened to illuminate and heal every aspect of our being. After exploring the intense and focused inner alchemy of practices like Tummo, it is refreshing to turn our attention to something far more ordinary, yet equally profound. An activity we engage in multiple times every single day, eating. This brings us to the practice of mindful eating, which is essentially the application of mindfulness meditation directly to the act of consuming food. It is a way of transforming a routine, often automatic behavior into a rich, sensory experience that can become a cornerstone of your healing journey. So many of us eat on autopilot. We scroll through our phones, watch television, work at our desks, or drive our cars, all while shoveling food into our mouths with barely a second thought. We are physically present but mentally absent. And this disconnection has real consequences for our physical and mental well-being. Mindful eating is the deliberate practice of bringing your full, non-judgmental attention to the entire process of eating. It begins before you even take the first bite. You pause to look at your food, really seeing the vibrant colours, the varied textures, the way it is arranged on the plate. You might notice the steam rising from a warm meal or the condensation on a cold drink. Then you engage your sense of smell, taking in the aroma and noticing how it makes your body feel. Does your mouth water? Do you feel a sense of anticipation? This initial engagement already signals to your body that nourishment is on its way, beginning a physiological preparation for digestion. When you finally take that first bite, you do so slowly. You place the food in your mouth and simply notice, without rushing to chew and swallow. You pay attention to the explosion of flavors: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, umami. You feel the texture against your tongue and the roof of your mouth. Is it crunchy, creamy, smooth, or gritty? You listen to the sounds of chewing. The entire experience becomes a meditation in itself, with the food as your object of focus. Every time your mind wanders to a thought about your day, a worry, or a plan, you gently and kindly guide it back to the direct sensory experience of eating. This simple act of presence has a dramatic impact on your digestion. When you eat in a stressed, rushed, or distracted state, your nervous system is in a sympathetic or fight or flight mode. In this state, blood flow is directed away from your digestive organs and towards your muscles and brain, preparing for perceived danger. Digestion is put on hold. This can lead to bloating, gas, indigestion, and poor absorption of nutrients because your body is not optimally prepared to process the food. When you eat mindfully, you create a state of psychological and physiological safety. The focused, calm attention activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode. In this state, your body can properly produce digestive enzymes, stomach acid, and insulin. Blood flow is directed to your digestive tract. Peristalsis is improved, and the entire process of breaking down food and absorbing its nutrients becomes far more efficient. You are essentially ensuring that your body gets the maximum benefit from the food you are providing it. Beyond improving digestion, this practice fosters a deep and intuitive attunement with your body's true needs. As you eat slowly and pay attention, you start to notice the subtle signals your body sends. You become aware of the difference between true physical hunger and emotional hunger driven by boredom, stress, or sadness. You notice how certain foods make you feel during and after eating. That heavy, sluggish feeling after a large, greasy meal becomes a clear data point. The sustained energy and lightness you feel after a balanced, nutritious meal becomes another. Over time, this collected wisdom guides your food choices naturally and effortlessly. You begin to crave foods that truly nourish and sustain you because you have directly experienced their positive effects. You start eating for vitality and healing rather than for momentary comfort or out of habit. This practice also cultivates a profound sense of gratitude and interconnection. When you eat mindfully, you cannot help but become aware of the incredible journey your food has taken to arrive on your plate. You think of the sun and the rain that helped the plants grow, the soil that nourished them, the farmers who cultivated and harvested them, the workers who transported them, the people who prepared them. A simple apple is no longer just an apple. It is a manifestation of an entire network of life and effort. This recognition naturally evokes a feeling of thankfulness. This gratitude is not just a nice sentiment, it is a healing emotion that further supports the parasympathetic nervous system, reducing stress and enhancing the overall dining experience. You are eating with a sense of appreciation and respect for the nourishment you are receiving. Furthermore, mindful eating is a powerful tool for addressing emotional and compulsive eating patterns. Many of us use food as a way to soothe difficult emotions or to fill an existential void. We eat when we are anxious, lonely, or tired. By bringing mindful awareness to these moments, you create a crucial pause between the trigger and the action. When you feel the urge to eat outside of physical hunger, you can stop and ask yourself, what am I truly hungry for? Is it comfort? Connection? A break from work? Sometimes, the act of simply acknowledging the underlying emotion with kindness is enough to dissolve its power, and the compulsive urge to eat subsides. You learn to meet your emotional needs directly, rather than using food as a substitute. This breaks a cycle that often leads to weight gain, guilt, and further emotional distress, addressing a common cause of physical imbalances. Ultimately, mindful eating transforms a basic biological function into a sacred act of self-care and a profound understanding of our right to nourishment. It is a way of honoring your body, the source of your food, and the interconnected web of life. Every meal becomes an opportunity to practice presence, to care for yourself, and to make choices that support your health and well-being. It is an accessible practice that anyone can start right now with their very next snack or meal. You do not need special foods or a lot of extra time. You can begin with just one mindful bite. Put everything else away. Look at the food, smell it, place it in your mouth and close your eyes. Chew slowly and deliberately, noticing everything. Swallow and notice the aftertaste and the sensation of the food moving into your body. That is it. You can gradually expand this to a full meal, or even just the first 5 minutes of a meal. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes, and the more you will reap the benefits. Your relationship with food will shift from one of stress, guilt, or unconscious consumption to one of joy, gratitude, and conscious choice. This is not about imposing a strict diet or following rigid rules. It is about developing a kinder, more aware relationship with both your food and yourself. In the context of healing, this is fundamental. You are providing your body with the building blocks it needs to repair itself, and you are ensuring that those building blocks are used effectively by eating in a state that allows for proper digestion and absorption. You are also healing the mental and emotional patterns that often contribute to physical disease. Mindful eating is a gentle, yet powerful way to bring your whole being, body, mind, and heart into alignment every time you nourish yourself. It is a daily ritual of healing that celebrates the profound in the ordinary, turning every meal into a step on your path toward greater wholeness and vitality. After nourishing the body with the mindful awareness of eating, we can explore how to nourish and harmonize our entire being through another fundamental element of existence: sound. The use of sound for healing is an ancient practice found in many wisdom traditions, and within Buddhism, it finds a powerful expression through the recitation of mantras and the chanting of specific healing tones. This is not about musical performance or hitting the right notes. It is about using vibration as a direct tool to recalibrate your body and mind. A mantra is a syllable, word, or phrase that is repeated, either silently or aloud. Classic examples include the universally known Om Mani Padme Hum, which is a call to the jewel within the lotus of the heart, or Tayata Om Bakanze Bakanze, which is a mantra associated with the medicine Buddha and directly invokes healing energy. The power of these mantras lies in their specific sound vibrations. Every sound is a vibration, and your body is a complex orchestra of vibrating particles. When you introduce a consistent, rhythmic sound vibration through mantra, it can interact with your own bodily frequencies, helping to bring them into a state of coherence and harmony. Think of it like tuning a musical instrument. If one string is out of tune, the whole instrument sounds discordant. Mantras are like the tuning fork that helps bring your entire system back into its natural, harmonious state. This process of sonic harmonization is believed to work on a subtle level with the body's energy centers, often referred to as chakras. While this is a detailed map from yogic traditions, the basic idea is simple. Different areas of your body are associated with different aspects of your life and health, and specific sound frequencies can resonate with these areas. For instance, a deeper, grounding mantra might be felt more in the base of the spine, while a mantra focused on compassion might resonate in the heart center. You do not need to be an expert in chakras to benefit. The very act of chanting will naturally begin to smooth and balance your energy flow, much like water finding its own level. The physical act of chanting is itself a profound healing mechanism. To chant a mantra consistently, you must regulate your breath. You naturally take deeper, slower, and more controlled breaths. This alone is a powerful shift. This deep, rhythmic breathing is a direct signal to your nervous system that all is well. It manually activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your body's rest and digest mode. When this system is online, your heart rate slows, your blood pressure decreases, and your body can divert energy away from stress responses and toward repair, regeneration, and healing. The chanting becomes a biological command for deep relaxation. This is why you often feel a palpable sense of calm after even a short session of mantra repetition. Beyond the physiological effects, the repetitive nature of mantra practice works wonders on the busy mind. Our minds are often like a room full of chattering monkeys, constantly jumping from one thought to another. This internal chatter, known as the discursive mind, is a major source of anxiety and stress. The rhythmic repetition of a mantra gives your mind a single, simple point of focus. It is an anchor. Each time you repeat the sound, you are drawing your attention away from the whirlwind of thoughts and back to a steady, rhythmic pulse. This does not mean thoughts stop entirely. They will still arise. But instead of getting lost in them, you acknowledge them and gently return to the mantra. Over time, this practice creates gaps in the constant stream of thinking. In those gaps, a profound inner silence begins to emerge. It is in this quiet, spacious silence that your body's own innate intelligence can operate most effectively. This is the fertile ground where deep healing can truly take root and flourish. The intention you bring to your chanting is another critical layer. In Buddhist practice, this is often infused with bodhicitta, which is the awakened heart-mind, the sincere wish for all beings, including yourself, to be free from suffering. When you chant a healing mantra, you are not just making sounds, you are directing compassionate energy. You can consciously hold the intention that this vibration is for your own healing and for the healing of all who are suffering from similar conditions. This transforms the practice from a self-centered exercise into a powerful act of universal compassion. This shift is crucial because it breaks the isolation that often accompanies illness. When you feel connected to others in your healing intention, it alleviates the loneliness and fear that can worsen your condition. The energy of compassion is inherently healing. It counteracts the corrosive effects of anger, resentment, and self-pity by directing compassionate energy towards yourself and others through sound. You are actively cultivating a mental and emotional environment that supports physical recovery. One of the greatest beauties of this practice is its incredible accessibility. You do not need any special equipment, a dedicated room, or even a lot of time. You can practice mantra repetition anywhere. You can chant silently in your mind while waiting in line at the grocery store, during your commute, or in a waiting room. You can whisper it softly to yourself during a stressful work moment, or you can sing it out loud in the privacy of your home. This portability means you have a healing tool with you at all times. A moment of stress does not have to escalate into a full-blown anxiety attack. You can transform it into an opportunity for rebalancing by simply turning your attention inward and engaging in a few minutes of mindful chanting. The vibration will work on your nervous system, the rhythm will calm your mind, and the intention will soothe your heart. It is a full-spectrum healing modality that you carry within you. To begin, you can choose a mantra that resonates with you. It does not have to be in a language you understand intellectually. The power is in the sound and your intention. Start by finding a comfortable seated position and taking a few deep breaths to settle in. Then, begin to repeat your chosen mantra. You can coordinate it with your breath, perhaps saying one syllable on the inhale and another on the exhale, or simply repeating the entire phrase with a natural rhythm. Do not worry about getting it perfect. The goal is consistent, heartfelt repetition. Even 5 or 10 minutes a day can create a significant shift in your baseline state of calm and well-being. Over time, you may notice that the mantra starts to repeat itself in the background of your awareness throughout the day, providing a constant, subtle undercurrent of peace and stability. This is a sign that the practice is integrating into your being. In essence, healing with sound through mantras is about remembering a fundamental truth. You are vibration. Your thoughts, your emotions, and your physical body all have their own resonant frequencies. By consciously introducing harmonious, intentional sounds, you are using one of the most primal and powerful forces in the universe to tune your entire system back to its natural state of health and wholeness. It is a practice that meets you wherever you are, offering a simple yet profound path to inner peace and physical vitality, one resonant vibration at a time. Having explored how we can use external vibrations like mantras to harmonize our being, we now turn inward to a practice that uses the most fundamental rhythm of life, our own breath, in a radically transformative and courageous way. This practice is called Tonglen, a Tibetan word meaning giving and taking. And it is a meditation that completely flips our usual instincts on their head. Normally, we instinctively breathe in what we desire, fresh air, pleasure, happiness, and we try to exhale or avoid what we dislike. Toxins, pain, suffering. Tonglen asks us to do the exact opposite. In this meditation, you visualize breathing in the pain, suffering, and darkness of yourself and all other beings as a thick, black dot, heavy smoke. You then visualize this smoke entering your heart and, through the alchemy of your innate compassion and love, being instantly transformed into a brilliant, clear, healing light. This light, now charged with kindness and relief, is then breathed outwards, radiating to yourself and to all beings everywhere, offering them comfort, peace, and freedom from suffering. It is a practice of profound bravery, because it directly engages with the very things we spend most of our lives running from. The first step is to settle your mind with a few moments of mindful breathing, establishing a sense of openness and compassion. Then, you bring to mind your own suffering, a physical pain, an emotional heartache, a deep-seated fear. As you inhale, you visualize breathing in all of that pain in the form of a dark, hot, dense smoke. You do not resist it. You welcome it into your heart with a spirit of immense courage. You might even mentally say, "May I take in this suffering?" On the exhale, you imagine that all the happiness, peace, health, and goodness you have within you is transformed into a cool, bright, soothing light, and you send this light back to that pained part of yourself, bathing it in healing energy. After doing this for yourself for a few minutes, you gradually expand the circle. You bring to mind someone you love dearly who is also suffering. With each inhale, you breathe in their specific pain and struggle as black smoke. With each exhale, you send them all your joy, health, and comfort as radiant white or golden light. Then, you extend this further to neutral people, to difficult people, and eventually to all beings without exception, breathing in their collective sufferings and breathing out boundless compassion and healing. This systematic approach is not about becoming a martyr or a dumping ground for the world's pain. The transformation in the heart is key. The heart, in this practice, is not your physical organ, but the symbolic center of your boundless capacity for love and wisdom. It is visualized as a limitless space or as a transformative furnace where the dark smoke of suffering is instantly purified and converted into light. This is possible because the essential nature of the mind is pure and luminous. It is not harmed by the suffering it takes in, but has the innate power to transmute it. This process actively reverses our deepest egoic habit, the compulsive avoidance of pain and the desperate clinging to pleasure. Our ego constantly seeks comfort and safety, building walls to keep suffering out. Tonglen methodically dismantles these walls. It trains the mind to meet pain not with fear and aversion, but with openness and compassion. This develops a tremendous courage that is not based on being invulnerable, but on the willingness to be vulnerable for the sake of healing. It cultivates a compassion that is not limited or conditional, but vast and all-encompassing. By consciously and voluntarily accepting your own pain within the safe container of this meditation, you perform a powerful psychological shift. You are no longer a passive victim of your suffering. You are an active agent choosing to engage with it. This act of choice removes the negative emotional charge that usually accompanies pain, the resentment, the why me, the sense of injustice. When you willingly breathe in your own pain, you are essentially saying, "I can handle this. I will meet this with love." This robs the suffering of its power to terrorize you. The pain itself might not disappear, but your relationship to it is utterly transformed. It is no longer a monster to be feared, but raw material to be alchemized into compassion. the suffering itself becomes the very fuel for your growth and your capacity to care. Furthermore, Tonglen is a powerful antidote to the crushing loneliness that often accompanies sickness, grief, or any form of deep struggle. When we suffer, we can feel utterly isolated, as if we are the only one going through such an experience. This sense of separation amplifies the pain exponentially. Tonglen shatters this illusion by intentionally connecting you with the universal reality of suffering. As you breathe in the pain of all beings, you are reminded that you are not alone. Your pain is part of the vast tapestry of human experience. Everyone, without exception, knows suffering in some form. This realization creates a profound sense of solidarity and connection. Your personal struggle becomes shared, and in that sharing, the burden feels lighter. You are participating in a collective act of healing, which can be incredibly empowering and comforting. This practice is also regarded as one of the most potent methods for purifying negative karma. From a Buddhist perspective, karma is created by our intentions and actions. The habitual intention to avoid pain and grasp at pleasure for oneself alone creates negative karmic imprints. Tonglen directly purifies these imprints by cultivating the opposite intention, the courageous wish to take on suffering and give away happiness. Every time you practice Tonglen, you are planting seeds of immense compassion and selflessness, which naturally weaken and dissolve the seeds of past selfishness and aversion. It is a way of actively scrubbing your mind stream clean, creating the causes for future happiness and freedom from suffering for yourself and others. Ultimately, Tonglen is about activating the inherent healing power of what is called the enlightened mind or Buddha nature, the fundamental, pure, and compassionate awareness that is the true nature of every being. This practice does not add something from the outside. It reveals and strengthens what is already within. It trusts that the heart's natural response to suffering is compassion, and it gives that compassion a concrete method to express itself. You can practice Tonglen anywhere, anytime. You do not need to be in formal meditation. When you see an ambulance speed by, you can mentally breathe in the fear and pain of those involved and breathe out calm and safety. When you feel your own anxiety rising before a difficult conversation, you can breathe in that anxiety for all who feel it and breathe out confidence and peace. This integrates the practice into daily life, turning every moment of awareness into an opportunity for healing transformation. It is a practice that meets the world's darkness, not with more darkness, but with a fearless, generous, and transformative light. After engaging with the courageous heart of practices like Tonglen, where we learn to meet suffering directly with compassion, it becomes essential to ground that courage in a broader, stabilizing understanding of life itself. This is where the profound wisdom of the Dharma, the Buddha's teachings, offers a framework that can fundamentally heal our relationship with existence, particularly with the aspects we fear most: aging, sickness, and death. So much of our anxiety and stress, which are major contributors to illness, stems from a deep-seated resistance to the basic facts of life. We want to hold on to youth, health, and life indefinitely, and the inevitable processes of change and decline fill us with dread. The Dharma starts by inviting us to look honestly at one of its core principles: impermanence, or anicca. This is the simple, observable truth that everything is in a constant state of flux. Your body is not the same as it was a moment ago. Cells are dying and being reborn. Sensations arise and pass. The seasons change. Relationships evolve. And all conditioned things are transient. When we truly internalize this, not just as an idea, but as a lived experience, something remarkable happens. The fear of death and degeneration begins to lose its power. We see that aging and sickness are not personal failures or attacks. They are natural expressions of this universal law. This understanding does not make us morbid or depressed. Instead, it can make us incredibly present and appreciative, knowing that this moment, this breath, this healthy feeling is fleeting. We are inspired to cherish it more fully. It shifts our focus from desperately trying to freeze time to learning how to flow with it gracefully, which reduces the tremendous psychological stress that accelerates physical decline. Closely linked to impermanence is the teaching of non-self, or anatta. This is often misunderstood. It does not mean that you do not exist, but that what you typically call I is not a solid, unchanging, independent entity. You are a constantly changing process, a flow of physical elements, sensations, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. When illness strikes, we often solidify this experience. We think, I am a sick person. This identification can feel like a life sentence, a fixed and terrible identity. The wisdom of anatta helps to deconstruct this. It allows you to see that there is a body that is experiencing sensations and a mind that is observing those sensations, but there is no single, solid self that is permanently sick. This perspective is incredibly liberating. It creates a little space between you and the experience. You can acknowledge the pain without becoming the pain. You can care for the body without believing that your entire identity is defined by its current condition. This relieves an immense amount of pressure and mental suffering, allowing you to relate to the illness from a place of greater clarity and less personal drama. This brings us to the third pillar of this wise view, karma. As we have touched on before, karma is the law of cause and effect. In the context of life and death, it provides a logical and empowering framework for understanding why suffering happens. When faced with a serious diagnosis or chronic pain, it is easy to fall into a sense of being a helpless victim of random, cruel fate. The teaching of karma replaces this disempowering narrative with one of responsibility. It suggests that our current experiences, including health challenges, are shaped by a vast and complex web of causes and conditions, including our past actions. This is not about blame or guilt. It is about agency. If your present situation is the result of past causes, then your present actions are creating the causes for your future. This understanding pulls you out of the passenger seat and puts you back in the driver's seat of your life. It encourages you to focus on what you can do now, cultivating kindness, acting ethically, practicing generosity, to create a healthier and happier future for yourself and others. This proactive stance is far more conducive to healing than the despair of feeling like a victim of circumstance. When you combine the understanding of impermanence, non-self, and karma, a natural acceptance of life's full spectrum begins to arise. The Dharma encourages us to reflect consciously on the fact that old age, sickness, and death are not anomalies. They are natural, inevitable parts of the human journey. This reflection is not meant to be depressing. Its purpose is to liberate the enormous amount of energy we waste in resisting these realities. Think about how much mental and emotional effort goes into denying your age, fighting against a diagnosis, or fearing what might happen. When you stop fighting the inevitable, that energy is freed up. It can be redirected into living your life fully, right here and right now, regardless of your circumstances. This acceptance is not passive resignation. It is an active, clear-eyed embrace of what is true. It allows you to meet a challenging prognosis not with panic, but with a steady mind and a determined heart, focusing your resources on what truly matters: quality of life, loving relationships, and spiritual growth. This foundational wisdom cultivates a resilience that is not brittle but deep and flexible. It is a resilience that allows you to face the most difficult health news with equilibrium. You might still feel fear or sadness. These are natural human emotions, but they do not define you or capsize you. You have a broader perspective. You understand that this body is impermanent, that the I who is sick is not as solid as it seems, and that you have the power to shape your karmic path moving forward. This mental stability is a priceless asset in any healing process. It prevents the secondary suffering, the anxiety, depression, and stress that often worsens physical conditions and hinders recovery. Your mind becomes a calm ally in your healing, not a source of additional turmoil. Ultimately, this dharmic wisdom transforms the very concept of what it means to be healed. In a conventional sense, healing means the absence of disease. But from this wiser vantage point, true health is redefined as the realization of an unshakable inner peace. It is the profound well-being that comes from being in harmony with the way things are. You can have a body that is experiencing illness and a mind that is at peace. You can be in pain and still access a deep, quiet joy that is not dependent on physical conditions. This is the healing of the spirit. The practices we have explored, from mindfulness to loving kindness to Tonglen, are all tools to help you uncover this inherent peace. The wisdom of the Dharma is the map that shows you why these tools work and how they fit into a coherent, meaningful view of life and death. It helps you make sense of your journey, providing context and purpose where there might otherwise be confusion and despair. By integrating this wisdom into your daily life, through study, reflection, and meditation, you are not just treating a symptom, you are cultivating a state of being that can withstand any storm. You are building a home in your own heart that is safe, sane, and whole, no matter what happens to the body. This is the greatest healing of all. The courage to live fully, the wisdom to see clearly, and the compassion to embrace it all. But understanding these profound truths in your mind is one thing. Feeling them alive in your very muscles and bones is another. This is where the practical magic of integrating body and mind through movement comes into play, turning abstract wisdom into tangible, lived experience. Many of us, especially when dealing with pain or illness, can feel disconnected from our physical selves, as if the body is a separate, malfunctioning machine we are trapped inside. Buddhist-influenced movement practices like yoga and Tai Chi offer a powerful way to bridge this divide, reuniting the mind and body into a harmonious whole. These are not just exercises for flexibility or strength. They are moving meditations designed to cultivate a deep, embodied awareness with every breath and every motion. The roots of yoga are shared with the Buddhist tradition, both arising from the same soil of ancient Indian spirituality, and both share the common goal of liberating the mind by working skillfully with the body. When you step onto a yoga mat or begin the slow, flowing movements of Tai Chi, you are engaging in a centuries-old technology for holistic well-being. The first thing you might notice is the focus on the breath. Unlike in a gym workout where breathing might be an afterthought, here the breath is the conductor of the entire orchestra. You learn to synchronize your movements with the rhythm of your inhalation and exhalation. A simple raising of the arms happens on an inhale. A forward fold accompanies an exhale. This synchronization is not arbitrary. It forces the mind to stay present with the body, anchoring you firmly in the here and now. The incessant chatter of the mind, the worries about the future, the regrets about the past, all begin to quiet down because your attention is fully occupied by the simple, physical task of moving with your breath. This union of breath and movement has a direct and calming effect on your nervous system. The deliberate, slow pace of these practices, combined with the deep, abdominal breathing, is a powerful signal to your autonomic nervous system that it is safe to stand down from high alert. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, your body's rest and digest mode. When this system is online, your heart rate slows, your blood pressure can decrease, and your body shifts its resources away from managing stress and toward repair, regeneration, and healing. This state is the exact opposite of the fight or flight response that so often dominates our modern lives and exacerbates health conditions. Furthermore, these disciplines are incredibly effective at releasing chronic physical tensions that we often do not even know we are carrying. You might start a yoga class feeling tight in your shoulders and back, and through a series of gentle stretches and holds, you feel those areas gradually letting go. This release is not just physical, it is emotional and mental too. The body stores the residue of past traumas, stresses, and unresolved emotions. Have you ever noticed how you clench your jaw when anxious or hunch your shoulders when sad? These postural habits become locked into our musculature over time. The mindful, compassionate stretching in yoga and the continuous, flowing motion of Tai Chi help to gently unlock these holding patterns. As you move into a pose that opens the chest and heart center, you might unexpectedly feel a release of old grief or sadness. As you ground your feet firmly in a standing pose, you might feel a surge of stability and confidence. This is the process of integration. The traumatic experiences or chronic stress that were stored as physical tension are being gently met with awareness and allowed to dissolve. This is why these practices are so valuable for anyone who feels dissociated from their body due to pain or illness. When you are in constant discomfort, the natural tendency is to withdraw awareness from the body, to try to escape the unpleasant sensations. This disconnection, however, only makes things worse. It creates a sense of alienation and can prevent you from hearing the important signals your body is sending. Movement practices like these cultivate what is often called grounding, the felt sense of being fully present and inhabiting your body. In a Tai Chi form, you are constantly aware of the soles of your feet connecting with the earth, of the weight shifting from one leg to the other. In a yoga pose like tree pose, you are focused on the subtle adjustments in your standing foot to maintain balance. This brings you back into your body, out of the fearful stories in your head and into the direct, sensory experience of the moment. It teaches you that you can be with sensation, even uncomfortable sensation, without being overwhelmed by it. This reclamation of your body is a profoundly healing act. As you practice over time, you become deeply attuned to the subtle wisdom of your body. You start to notice the whispers before they become screams. A slight twinge in the knee during a particular movement tells you to back off and modify the pose. A feeling of lightness and energy after a certain sequence of Tai Chi tells you that this movement is particularly beneficial for you. Your body is constantly communicating its needs, its limits, and its capacities, but we are often too busy or too distracted to listen. Mindful movement retrains you to become a sensitive and responsive listener. You learn to differentiate between the healthy stretch of a muscle and the sharp warning of a joint. You begin to intuitively choose movements and postures that nourish and support you, rather than pushing through pain or ignoring your body's signals. This heightened body intelligence is an essential component of self-care and long-term health. The benefits extend to very concrete physiological systems. The improved flexibility and circulation from regular practice ensure that oxygen and nutrients are delivered more efficiently to your tissues, while metabolic waste is carried away more effectively. The balancing of the endocrine system, which governs your hormones, can help regulate everything from your sleep cycles to your stress response. The gentle, weight-bearing aspects of many yoga poses can help maintain bone density, while the internal massage provided to organs through twisting and compressing poses can aid digestion and detoxification. It is a comprehensive tune-up for your entire physical being. Ultimately, this integration through movement is fundamental for a truly holistic approach to healing. It acknowledges that you are not a collection of separate parts, a mind here, a body there, but a single, dynamic, and interconnected being. What affects the mind impacts the body, and what you do with your body directly influences your mental and emotional state. By engaging in these practices, you are not just treating a symptom, you are nurturing the entire system. You are creating a feedback loop of well-being where a calm mind supports a relaxed body, and a healthy, vibrant body supports a clear and peaceful mind. This is the essence of embodied wisdom, where the profound understandings of the Dharma are not just thoughts you think, but experiences you live and breathe with every step, every stretch, and every mindful moment on the mat. It is a journey of coming home to yourself, fully and completely, and discovering that the path to healing is, quite literally, under your own 2 feet. But healing is not solely an inward journey of personal integration. It flourishes when we extend ourselves outward. And one of the most powerful ways to do this is through the conscious and heartfelt practice of generosity, known in Buddhism as dana. This is not about writing a large check to a charity, though that can be a part of it. It is about cultivating a generous spirit in every moment, an inner attitude of openness and willingness to give. Dana is considered the first of the paramitas, or perfections, and it serves as a direct antidote to the mental states of greed and attachment. These emotions, like a clenched fist, contract the heart and generate a low-grade, persistent stress within the body and mind. When we are gripped by avarice or a desperate need to hold on to what we have, we are in a state of psychological scarcity. This state signals danger to our nervous system, keeping it subtly braced for loss and conflict, which inhibits the relaxation necessary for deep healing. The practice of generosity, in contrast, is an act of opening that fist. It is a deliberate release, a letting go, and in that release, a profound physiological and psychological shift occurs. The very act of giving, whether it is your time, your resources, a kind word, or a listening ear, has been shown to activate the pleasure centers in the brain. It releases neurotransmitters like dopamine, creating a natural high often called the helper's high. This is not a fleeting feeling. It produces a tangible sense of connection, purpose, and well-being. You are literally rewiring your brain to associate giving with feeling good, which counteracts the stress hormones generated by fear and scarcity. This creates a biochemical environment within your body that is far more conducive to repair and recovery. When you are stuck in the cycle of illness, it is incredibly easy to become obsessively focused on your own pain, your own symptoms, your own prognosis. The world can shrink down to the 4 walls of your suffering. This narcissistic focus, while understandable, can actually slow down the healing process because it keeps your attention locked on the problem, amplifying anxiety and feelings of helplessness. The practice of generosity offers a powerful way out of this trap. By consciously turning your attention to the needs of others, you break the spell of self-absorption. You step outside the story of my illness and into the larger story of shared human experience. This shift is paradoxically one of the fastest ways to accelerate your own healing. When you are actively looking for ways to be helpful, to offer comfort, or to share what you have, your identity expands. You are no longer just a sick person. You are a benefactor, a friend, a source of support. This renewed sense of agency and purpose is incredibly empowering and can ignite a positive momentum that affects every aspect of your well-being. Furthermore, the practice of dana is deeply connected to the law of karma. Every generous action, no matter how small, plants a seed of positive karma. It creates an imprint on your mind stream that fosters a sense of worthiness and merit. When you are ill, it is common to subconsciously feel you do not deserve to get better or that you are being punished. Generosity directly counters this by affirming your inherent value and your capacity to create good. You are actively building a karma of health, a foundation of positive causes that support resilience and vitality. This is not a transactional bargain with the universe. It is about aligning your actions with the natural flow of abundance, understanding that what you put out inevitably shapes what comes back to you. This leads to perhaps the most profound healing aspect of generosity: its ability to shatter the illusion of separation. Loneliness and isolation are silent epidemics that worsen nearly every health condition. When you feel separate and alone in your suffering, the burden becomes infinitely heavier. Generosity is the ultimate remedy for this. It is a tangible reminder that we are all interconnected nodes in a vast network of mutual support. When you give, you are actively participating in that network. You are both giving and receiving simultaneously, because the act itself reaffirms your connection to the whole. You realize that your well-being is tied to the well-health of others, and this realization alleviates the crushing weight of solitude. It reduces feelings of depression and hopelessness by replacing them with a sense of belonging and shared purpose. Finally, the highest form of this practice is giving without any expectation of return. This is an act of profound trust in the fundamental abundance of life. It is a declaration that there is enough to go around, that you are supported, and that your own security does not depend on hoarding and clinging. This mindset is the polar opposite of the fear-based scarcity that underlies so much stress and disease. When you operate from a place of trust and abundance, you create a mental and emotional environment that is incredibly supportive of all healing processes. Your body relaxes, your heart opens, and your energy flows freely. You are no longer fighting against the world, but cooperating with it. Generosity, therefore, is not an add-on to your healing journey. It is a central pillar. It heals the giver as much as, if not more than, the receiver. It starts small. It can be as simple as offering a genuine compliment, letting someone go ahead of you in line, or spending 5 minutes truly listening to a friend without distraction. It is about bringing the spirit of dana into your daily life, making it a natural and reflexive response. As you practice, you will notice your heart feeling lighter, your mind becoming less preoccupied with your own troubles, and a quiet joy arising from the simple act of contributing to the happiness of others. This is the alchemy of generosity. It transforms the lead of attachment and isolation into the gold of connection and wholeness, proving that one of the most powerful medicines for our own healing is, quite simply, our capacity to care for others. While the practice of generosity opens our heart and connects us to others in a spirit of giving, this outward flow of energy naturally finds its home and amplification within a community of like-minded individuals, a spiritual family known in Buddhism as the Sangha. The Sangha is far more than just a group of people who meditate together. It is a living, breathing network of mutual support that acts as a powerful catalyst for collective and individual healing. When you are walking a path of healing, especially from a serious illness or deep emotional wound, it can feel like a solitary and isolating journey. The Sangha stands as a refuge from that loneliness, offering tangible emotional support, practical encouragement, and a profound sense that you are not alone. In a world that often encourages us to hide our vulnerabilities and put on a brave face, the Sangha provides a safe and compassionate container where you can share your struggles, your fears, and your health challenges without judgment or stigma. This act of vulnerable sharing is, in itself, deeply healing. To voice your pain and have it witnessed with empathy and understanding can lessen its weight significantly. It breaks the silence that often surrounds suffering and allows you to feel seen and accepted exactly as you are, which is a fundamental human need that, when met, directly supports the healing process. Beyond the one-on-one support, there is a powerful, palpable energy that arises when a group of people comes together with a shared intention for peace and healing. When you sit in meditation with a Sangha, you are not just practicing alone in a room, you are plugging into a collective field of focused awareness and compassionate intention. This group energy can feel like a rising tide that lifts all boats, making it easier to settle into a deeper state of calm and concentration than you might achieve on your own. The combined focus of many minds can create a resonant frequency that helps to quiet your own mental chatter and amplify your personal practice. This is especially true during specific healing ceremonies or group recitations of mantras and sutras, where the unified voice and intention of the community create a powerful vortex of healing energy that each individual can draw upon. This collective force can help to break through stubborn patterns of pain or resistance, offering a boost that can propel your healing journey forward in ways that solitary practice sometimes cannot. Another invaluable gift of the Sangha is the presence of living examples of resilience and compassion. Within a spiritual community, you will inevitably encounter people who have walked paths similar to your own, who have faced devastating diagnoses, chronic pain, or profound grief, and have found ways to not only endure, but to grow and even thrive. These individuals become beacons of hope. Their very existence is a testament to the possibility of healing and transformation. Seeing someone else who has navigated the treacherous waters of illness with grace and courage can ignite a spark of perseverance within you when your own motivation is flagging. Their stories and their presence remind you that healing is possible, and that the practices you are undertaking have been proven to work in the lives of real people. This inspiration is a powerful medicine against the despair and hopelessness that can creep in during difficult times. The support within a Sangha is not a one-way street. It is a dynamic, reciprocal exchange. When you are in a period of strength, you have the opportunity to offer support to other members who are struggling. This might mean driving someone to a doctor's appointment, preparing a meal for a family dealing with illness, or simply offering a listening ear and a compassionate presence to someone who is in pain. This act of giving support is, in itself, a profound healing practice. It is a practical application of Tonglen and active compassion, where you breathe in the suffering of another and breathe out care and kindness. When you shift your focus from your own challenges to alleviating the suffering of someone else, you break the cycle of self-absorption that often accompanies sickness. This service gets you out of your own head and into your heart, fostering a sense of purpose and connection that is incredibly vitalizing. It reinforces the understanding that your capacity to heal is intertwined with your capacity to care for others. Ultimately, belonging to a Sangha gives a deeper, richer meaning to your entire healing journey. A health crisis can often feel random, meaningless, and unfair. When you frame your experience within the context of a spiritual community with a shared high purpose, the pursuit of awakening and the alleviation of suffering for all beings, your personal struggle is contextualized. It is no longer just a personal misfortune. It becomes part of a larger, shared path of growth and service. Your healing journey transforms into a heroic journey that you undertake not only for yourself, but for the benefit of the entire community and, by extension, all beings. The insights you gain, the resilience you build, and the compassion you cultivate through your own suffering become gifts you can offer to others who will walk similar paths in the future. This perspective infuses the often arduous process of healing with a sense of sacred purpose. It helps you to see your challenges not as punishments or meaningless events, but as opportunities to develop wisdom and empathy that can be of great service in the world. In this way, the Sangha ensures that your healing journey does not lead you into isolation, but into deeper and more meaningful connection. It embodies the truth that we are not separate individuals fighting our own private battles, but interdependent beings who heal each other through our presence, our stories, our shared silence, and our active care. The community becomes the soil in which the seeds of your personal practice can take root and flourish, providing the nutrients of support, inspiration, and shared meaning that are essential for lasting wholeness. To walk the path of healing with a Sangha is to remember that we are all in this together, and that our collective well-being is the most powerful medicine of all. While the support of a community provides a crucial external foundation for healing, there inevitably comes a point where we must turn inward and face the raw data of our experience directly. And this is precisely where Vipassana meditation offers its profound gifts. Vipassana, which translates to clear seeing or insight, is a practice that trains the mind to observe bodily sensations with a steady, non-reactive awareness. It is not about trying to change what we feel or to escape discomfort. It is about learning to be with it in a completely new way. The practice begins by grounding yourself in the present moment, often using the breath as an initial anchor. Once the mind has settled a little, you systematically shift your attention to the physical sensations occurring throughout your body. You might start at the top of your head and slowly, mindfully, scan down to the tips of your toes. The instruction is simple. Observe whatever arises: a feeling of warmth, a tingling, an itch, a sense of pressure, or the sharp signal of pain. Without judgment and without the need to do anything about it, you are cultivating a quality of equanimity which is a balanced, even-minded acceptance of whatever is present, whether it is pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. This is the first and most critical step in dissolving the power of pain. Our typical, untrained reaction to an unpleasant sensation is immediate aversion. A pain arises, and our mind instantly labels it as bad. And we recoil. We tense up mentally and physically. We generate a story about it. This is terrible. It's going to get worse. I can't stand this. And we desperately want it to go away. This reactive pattern is a form of conditioning that actually amplifies the original sensation. The physical pain is one thing, but the mental suffering we add on top of it, the fear, the frustration, the resistance, is often far worse. Vipassana meditation directly interrupts this cycle. When a painful sensation arises during your practice, you are taught not to fight it or run from it, but to gently bring your attention to it. You observe it with the same curious, detached interest you might give to a cloud passing in the sky. You note it mentally. Pain, burning, throbbing. You investigate its qualities. Where exactly is it located? What is its texture? Does it have boundaries? Is it constant or pulsating? By doing this, you are performing a radical act. You are separating the raw sensation from the emotional and mental reaction to it. You are breaking the conditioned link between feeling and suffering. This process of observation reveals one of the most liberating truths about our experience: impermanence. In Pali, this is called anicca. As you watch any sensation, including intense pain, with sustained attention, you will inevitably see that it changes. It might intensify for a moment, then subside, then shift location, or change its quality. A sharp stabbing pain might dissolve into a dull ache, which then morphs into a wave of heat. Nothing stays the same for more than a fleeting moment. This is not a philosophical concept. It is an observable fact that you can verify for yourself through direct experience. For someone suffering from chronic pain, this insight is a game changer. The solid, monolithic, permanent-seeming thing called my pain begins to deconstruct. You see that it is not a single, static entity, but a rapidly flowing stream of microscopic sensations, each arising and passing away with incredible speed. The pain is a process, not an object. This understanding brings a profound sense of relief because it means that this current experience, no matter how intense, is not forever. It is just a passing weather pattern in the body. This knowing allows you to rest in the space between the sensations, in the awareness that knows the sensations, which itself is vast and undisturbed. Through persistent investigation, this practice leads to an even deeper insight about the nature of the body itself. We typically relate to our body as a solid, fixed thing that we have. We say, "I have a bad knee," or "I have a headache," as if the body is a possession that is sometimes defective. Vipassana meditation shatters this illusion. As you observe the endless flux of sensations, warmth, coolness, vibration, pressure, emptiness, you begin to perceive that the body is not a thing at all. It is a dynamic, ever-changing process. It is a verb, not a noun. It is a field of energy and vibration that is constantly being created and dissolved. This realization transforms your relationship with your body completely. The body is no longer a problem to be solved or a burden to be carried. It is a fascinating, flowing phenomenon to be witnessed. This shift from ownership to observation is incredibly freeing. It alleviates the burden of identification. You are not a solid self that is sick. You are awareness itself, experiencing a temporary constellation of sensations labeled illness. This doesn't make the sensations disappear, but it completely changes their context, robbing them of their power to define you. Ultimately, Vipassana provides you with the essential tools to be with your pain in a way that transforms it from a dreaded enemy into a valuable teacher. When you stop running from pain and instead invite it in as the object of your meditation, something alchemical happens. The pain, stripped of its scary story, becomes just another sensation, another piece of data in the field of your awareness. It becomes your mindfulness bell, constantly calling you back to the present moment. It teaches you patience, as you learn to sit with discomfort without needing to fix it immediately. It teaches you courage, as you learn to face what you previously feared. It teaches you equanimity, as you learn to remain balanced amidst the changing conditions of the body. This is not a passive resignation. It is an active, empowered engagement with reality. You are no longer a victim of your body's sensations. You are a scientist exploring the nature of your own experience. This practice is particularly accessible because it requires nothing but your own attention. You can practice it lying in a hospital bed, sitting in a chair, or in any position you can manage. You start small, with short periods of observation, and gradually build your capacity. The goal is not to achieve a pain-free body, though that can sometimes be a side effect as tension releases, but to achieve a pain-free mind, a mind that can meet any sensation with openness and peace. This is the true healing that Vipassana offers, the healing of our relationship with experience itself. It is a journey from being lost in the story of pain to resting in the freedom of awareness, discovering that you are far vaster and more resilient than any passing sensation could ever be. Now, after learning to observe our inner landscape with the clear, steady gaze of Vipassana, we might wonder how to actively cultivate a heart that can meet all those sensations and experiences with genuine warmth and stability. This is where the practice of the four immeasurables, or Brahma Viharas, comes in. These are not abstract ideals, but four specific, trainable qualities of the heart that, when developed, create an unshakable emotional balance which is absolutely foundational for any deep healing to occur. Think of your mind and emotions as a garden. Vipassana helps you see the weeds clearly, but the Brahma Viharas are the nutrients and sunlight that help the flowers grow, crowding out the weeds naturally. These four qualities are loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. They are called immeasurable because the goal is to extend them boundlessly to all beings without exception. And when you practice them, you are essentially doing emotional weight training for your heart, building its resilience and capacity for joy. The first is metta, or loving kindness. This is the practice of cultivating a genuine, unconditional friendliness and well-wishing towards yourself and others. It is the direct antidote to the poison of anger and ill will. When you are sick or in pain, it is incredibly easy to become angry at your body for failing you, at the world for being unfair, or at people who are healthy. This anger is like a fire burning inside you, consuming your energy and creating a state of internal stress that directly hinders healing. Metta practice systematically douses this fire. You start by generating these feelings of kindness towards yourself, using simple phrases like, "May I be happy," "May I be healthy," "May I be safe," "May I live with ease." You then extend this same sincere wish to a loved one, a neutral person, a difficult person, and finally to all beings everywhere. This isn't about forcing a fake emotion. It is about setting the intention and allowing the feeling to grow gradually. As you practice, you soften the hard edges of your own self-criticism and begin to meet your own suffering with a much kinder, more supportive internal voice. This alone can be a profound relief. The second is karuna, or compassion. This is the heart's natural response to suffering, the wish for beings to be free from their pain. It is the antidote to cruelty and indifference. When you are in pain, your own or someone else's, compassion allows you to acknowledge it without being overwhelmed by it. It is the quality that lets you say, "This hurts," and then respond with care rather than with panic or avoidance. In your healing journey, practicing compassion means learning to hold your own pain with tenderness. Instead of fighting the pain or seeing it as an enemy, you can learn to bring a compassionate attention to the hurting part of your body, almost as if you were comforting a crying child. This approach radically changes your relationship to the experience. It reduces the secondary suffering of resistance and fear, allowing the raw sensation to be there without the added mental agony. Compassion moves you from a stance of battle to one of nurturing, which is a much more physiologically relaxed state. The third is mudita, or sympathetic joy. This is the ability to feel genuine happiness and joy for the happiness and success of others. It is the direct antidote to envy and resentment, and a powerful cure for self-pity. When you are struggling with health issues, it can be very difficult to see other people enjoying their vitality, their active lives, their freedom from pain. The default reaction is often jealousy or a feeling of, "Why them and not me?" This comparison only deepens your own sense of lack and suffering. Mudita practice deliberately reverses this. You actively call to mind someone who is happy and healthy, and you practice rejoicing in their well-being. You mentally celebrate their good fortune. This might feel forced at first, but with practice, it begins to open your heart. It breaks the toxic focus on your own lack and connects you to the abundance of joy in the world. Your own mood lifts because joy is contagious, even when it is someone else's. By sharing in the happiness of others, you tap into a source of positive emotion that is not dependent on your own temporary physical condition, giving you a much-needed psychological boost. The fourth is upekkha, or equanimity. This is a state of inner balance and peace, a calm, steady mind that is not thrown off by the inevitable ups and downs of life. It is the antidote to anxiety, attachment, and craving. In healing, equanimity is what allows you to do everything you can for your recovery without being consumed by anxiety about the outcome. It is the wisdom that understands you can control your actions but not necessarily all the results. You can eat well, meditate, follow your doctor's advice, but you cannot force the body to heal on a specific timeline. Equanimity gives you the stability to hold this paradox. It allows you to remain calm and centered, whether you are having a good day or a bad day, whether the news from the doctor is positive or challenging. It prevents you from being on an emotional roller coaster, which is incredibly draining. With equanimity, you can face your situation with a profound sense of okayness. Whatever is happening, this mental stability is perhaps the greatest gift for your nervous system. Now, the real magic happens when you cultivate these four qualities together, because they support and balance each other. Loving kindness provides the basic warmth and goodwill. Compassion ensures that warmth is directed towards suffering. Sympathetic joy prevents compassion from becoming sorrowful and keeps the heart open to happiness. And equanimity provides the foundational stability so that you can engage with the suffering and joy of the world without being overwhelmed. When you practice these systematically, you are not just improving your mood, you are directly influencing your body's chemistry. A heart filled with loving kindness and compassion creates a biochemical environment that is ideal for healing. It reduces the levels of stress hormones like cortisol, which are known to suppress the immune system and promote inflammation. Simultaneously, it encourages the release of hormones like oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which promotes feelings of safety and connection, and endorphins, the body's natural painkillers. This shift from a stress-dominant state to a care and connection state is one of the most powerful things you can do for your physical health. It signals to your body that it is safe to repair and regenerate. So how do you practice this? You can set aside a few minutes each day for a formal meditation, sit quietly, connect with your breath, and then begin to offer the metta phrases to yourself. Then, visualize someone you love easily and offer the phrases to them. Move to a neutral person, then someone you have difficulty with, and finally, extend it to all beings. For compassion, you can bring to mind someone who is suffering and silently wish, "May you be free from this suffering." For sympathetic joy, think of someone's good fortune and genuinely think, "I am happy for your happiness." For equanimity, reflect on the law of cause and effect, understanding that everyone's experience is the result of their own complex causes and conditions, and cultivate a calm acceptance of this truth. The more you practice, the more these qualities will become your default setting. They will begin to arise spontaneously throughout your day. When you feel irritation, a little metta can arise. When you see someone struggling, compassion will flow. When a friend shares good news, you will feel genuine joy with them. And when things don't go your way, equanimity will provide a steady ground. This doesn't mean you become a passive doormat. It means you respond to life from a place of wisdom and care rather than from reaction and fear. This emotionally balanced, resilient, and open psyche is the most fertile ground for integral health to flourish. It supports every other healing practice you undertake, making your mind your greatest ally in the journey back to wholeness. After exploring how to cultivate a heart of boundless compassion and emotional balance through the Brahma Viharas, it's time to return to one of the most fundamental and accessible tools we have for regulating our entire system, our own breath. This brings us to Anapanasati, the practice of mindfulness of breathing, which is often considered the cornerstone of meditation for a very good reason. It is a deceptively simple practice that has profound effects on calming the mind and, most importantly for our healing journey, directly regulating our autonomic nervous system. You see, our nervous system has two main modes: the sympathetic, which is the fight or flight response, and the parasympathetic, which is the rest and digest state. When we are stressed, anxious, or in pain, we are stuck in sympathetic dominance, which is like having the gas pedal slammed down all the time. This state diverts resources away from healing and repair and keeps us in a constant state of high alert. Anapanasati works by gently applying the brakes. The practice itself is straightforward. You find a comfortable seat, close your eyes or lower your gaze, and simply bring your attention to the physical sensation of your breath. You might focus on the feeling of the air moving in and out of your nostrils, or the rise and fall of your abdomen. You are not trying to control the breath in any way. You are just observing it, as if you were a curious scientist watching a natural phenomenon. When your mind wanders, which it will, you gently and without judgment guide it back to the breath. This simple act of returning your attention over and over is like a rep for your mindfulness muscle. But what makes this so powerful for nervous system regulation? It all comes down to the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve in the body, and it is the main component of the parasympathetic nervous system. It acts like a superhighway, carrying signals from the brain to the heart, lungs, digestive organs, and back. When you engage in slow, deep, conscious breathing, you are directly stimulating the vagus nerve. This stimulation sends a clear message to your body. Stand down. The coast is clear. It's safe to relax. This activates the parasympathetic response, which slows your heart rate, lowers your blood pressure, and shifts your body into a state where it can focus on maintenance, repair, and healing. Think of it as switching from a state of war to a state of peace within your own body. The physiological benefits are measurable and significant. Studies have shown that consistent practice of mindful breathing can lead to a reduction in blood pressure, a decrease in heart rate, and a lowering of the stress hormone cortisol. It also reduces activity in the amygdala, the brain's fear center, which means you become less reactive to perceived threats, including the threat of pain. This is why conscious breathing is such an effective tool for managing both acute and chronic pain. When pain arises, instead of tensing up and fighting it, which only amplifies the sensation, you can use the breath as an anchor. You breathe into the sensation, observing it with curiosity rather than fear. This doesn't make the pain disappear magically, but it changes your relationship to it, reducing the suffering component and often diminishing the perceived intensity. Moreover, this practice is incredibly portable. You don't need any special equipment or a quiet room. You can practice anapanasati while waiting in line, during a stressful work meeting, or even in the middle of a pain flare-up. It is an instant, always available tool for self-regulation. Whenever you feel anxiety creeping in, you can take a moment to focus on 3 conscious breaths. This simple act can interrupt the cycle of panic and bring you back to a state of relative calm. It's like having a reset button for your nervous system that you can press at any time. Another great way to practice is by counting breaths. This helps to stabilize the mind and give it a simple task to focus on. You can count each full breath cycle, inhale and exhale count as 1, and go from 1 to 10, then start again. If you lose count, just gently return to 1 without frustration. This method is particularly helpful for beginners because it provides a clear structure. You can also integrate mindful breathing into your daily activities. For example, while walking, you can synchronize your steps with your breath, or while eating, take a few conscious breaths before you begin. This helps to carry the calm from your meditation into your everyday life, making it a continuous practice. As you deepen your practice, you may begin to experience states of profound tranquility known as jhanas. These are altered states of consciousness characterized by deep concentration, bliss, and equanimity. While not the goal for everyone, reaching these states allows the body to enter modes of rest and regeneration that are far deeper than ordinary sleep. It's like giving your system a full thorough tune-up, where cellular repair, immune function, and emotional processing can occur optimally. This deep rest can significantly enhance your overall health and resilience. Furthermore, Consistent breathing practice can improve your sleep quality, aid digestion, and boost your immune response, all by maintaining a balanced nervous system. The beauty of Anapanasati is that it requires no belief system or special ability. Anyone can do it, and the effects are immediate. Even a single minute of focused breathing can make a difference in how you feel. But even without aiming for these advanced states, the daily practice of Anapanasati builds a foundation of mental clarity and emotional stability that supports every other aspect of your healing journey. It makes you more resilient, better able to handle the ups and downs of life and health. Over time, this practice not only helps with stress and pain, but also enhances your overall awareness and presence, making you more alive and engaged in each moment. So, how do you start? Begin with just 5 minutes a day. Sit comfortably, set a timer, and focus on your breath. Count your breaths if it helps. Inhale 1, exhale 1, up to 10, then start over. When you get distracted, simply note it and return to 1. Be patient and kind with yourself. The benefits accumulate over time, rewiring your brain and nervous system for greater peace and health. In a world that often feels chaotic and stressful, your breath is always with you, a constant companion and a powerful ally in your quest for wholeness and well-being. Remember, the breath is a bridge between the conscious and unconscious mind, and by working with it, you gain access to a natural pharmacy within yourself that can soothe, heal, and restore balance anytime you need it. While the steady anchor of the breath gives us a way to calm the storm of our thoughts and feelings, we might start to wonder about the nature of the storm itself. What exactly are these mental states that arise? And why do some feel so toxic and others so healing? This is where the ancient Buddhist psychological system of the Abhidharma becomes an incredibly powerful tool. Think of the Abhidharma not as a dry philosophical text, but as a detailed and precise map of the mind itself. It's like having an owner's manual for your own consciousness, breaking down every experience into its fundamental components. The Abhidharma meticulously catalogues what are called mental factors, or katasikas. These are not emotions in the vague way we usually talk about them. They are the basic building blocks that constitute every single moment of our awareness. Factors like contact, feeling, perception, intention, attention, and then more complex ones like greed, hatred, compassion, and wisdom. Every mind moment is a unique combination of these factors arising together. The power of studying this map is that it gives you a precise vocabulary and a clear lens through which to observe your own inner world. You're no longer just feeling bad or upset. You can identify, with startling clarity, that what you are experiencing is a combination of aversion, restlessness, and doubt. This precise identification is the first and most crucial step in transformation. When an unhealthy mental state arises, like a surge of anger or a wave of anxiety, our habitual reaction is often to get swept away by it. We become the anger, we act out of it, and it feels solid and overwhelming. The Abhidharma teaches us to see these states not as monolithic entities, but as temporary, conditioned combinations of mental factors. You learn to spot them the moment they appear on the horizon of your awareness. For instance, you might notice a tightness in your chest, a thought about an injustice, and a burning sensation, all signs of the mental factor of aversion or hatred. The moment you can name it, this is aversion. You have already created a tiny but critical space between you and the emotion. You are no longer completely identified with it. This is where the healing begins. This system is fundamentally a cure by understanding. You are using discernment and investigative wisdom to dissolve the very roots of your suffering. Once you have clearly identified an unhealthy factor, you can then apply its specific antidote, The Abhidharma is practical. It doesn't just tell you what's wrong, it gives you the medicine. For example, if you identify the factor of sensual desire or greed, the antidote might be to reflect on the impermanent and ultimately unsatisfying nature of the object of your desire. If you spot hatred or aversion, the direct antidote is to cultivate its opposite, loving kindness or metta. If you see sloth and torpor, the remedy is to energize the mind, perhaps by focusing on a stimulating object or reflecting on the preciousness of your human life. If distraction is the predominant factor, the antidote is to gather your attention back to a single point, like the breath. This is like being a skilled gardener who, upon spotting a specific weed, knows exactly which tool to use to remove it without harming the flowers. The goal is to catch these unhealthy factors early in their nascent stage, before they gain momentum and crystallize into full-blown emotional states that then, through the intricate connection between mind and body, manifest as physical disease. Chronic anger, for instance, creates a physiological state of stress that can lead to high blood pressure, inflammation, and a weakened immune system. Persistent anxiety can disrupt digestion and sleep. By learning to deconstruct these mental states as they arise, you are preventing them from taking root in your body. You are addressing the illness at its source, in the mind, before it has a chance to express itself as physical symptoms. This approach is deeply empowering because it is based on the core Abhidharma principle that all phenomena, including negative emotions, are conditioned. They are not solid, permanent parts of your identity. They arise based on specific causes and conditions. If you have a habit of jealousy, it's not because you are a jealous person, but because certain conditions, like a sense of inadequacy or a perception of scarcity, have repeatedly come together to trigger that mental factor, and what is conditioned can be deconditioned. This is perhaps the most hopeful insight. Your mental patterns are not fixed in stone. Through the systematic application of mindfulness and the specific antidotes, you can literally rewire your own mind. You are not stuck with the brain you have. You can actively participate in reshaping it. This process of reconditioning is a path to lasting mental health. It's not about suppressing negative emotions, but about understanding their nature so thoroughly that they lose their power over you. You learn to see them come, and you learn to see them go. You begin to rest in the awareness that knows these states, an awareness that is itself pure and unaffected. This doesn't happen overnight. It requires patience and consistent practice, much like learning any complex skill. You start by studying the map, learning about the different mental factors and their characteristics. Then you bring this knowledge into your daily meditation and, more importantly, into your everyday life. When you are cut off in traffic, instead of just erupting in rage, you pause and notice aversion is here. There is tension. There is a story of injustice. That moment of recognition is a small victory. Then you might consciously bring to mind a phrase of metta, or simply take a deep breath and relax the tension in your hands on the steering wheel. Each time you do this, you are weakening the old neural pathway of reactive anger and strengthening a new one of mindful response. Over time, this systematic work creates a mind that is more harmonious, flexible, and resilient. The unhealthy factors arise less frequently and with less intensity, while the wholesome factors like mindfulness, compassion, joy, and equanimity begin to arise more naturally and dominate your mental landscape. This creates a positive feedback loop for your entire being, a mind free from the agitation of hatred, greed, and delusion is a mind that creates a biochemical environment in the body that is ideal for healing and vitality. The Abhidharma, therefore, offers us one of the most profound gifts, the confidence that we can understand and transform our own inner world. It provides the blueprint for a mind that is no longer a source of suffering, but a source of clarity, peace, and genuine well-being. It turns the journey of healing into a journey of self-discovery, where every challenging emotion becomes an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to free yourself from the patterns that have held you back. This is the promise of this ancient psychology, that by mastering the inner map, we can navigate the path to wholeness with wisdom and grace. After delving into the intricate map of the mind with the Abhidharma, where we learn to identify and transform specific mental factors, we arrive at a guiding principle that helps us apply all these insights without falling into new traps or old patterns. This is the practice of the middle way, a core teaching of the Buddha that is incredibly practical for anyone on a healing journey. The middle way is essentially about finding a balanced path between two extremes, and in the context of health, these extremes are very common and often very damaging. On one side, there is the extreme of self-indulgence, which in this case means denying the reality of your illness. This is when you might ignore symptoms, avoid doctors, or pretend that everything is fine when it is not. You are essentially running away from the truth, and this avoidance prevents you from taking the necessary actions to get better. On the other side, there is the extreme of self-mortification, which is an obsession with the illness. This is when your entire life becomes consumed by the disease. You constantly research it, talk about it, worry about it, and identify so completely with being a sick person that there is no space left for anything else. This obsession creates a tremendous amount of mental stress and anxiety, which we know can actively hinder the body's natural healing processes. The middle way navigates right between these two pitfalls. It teaches you to accept the reality of your current condition without completely identifying with it. This is a subtle but profound distinction. It means you can acknowledge, yes, I have this health challenge right now, without letting that fact define your entire existence. You hold the diagnosis lightly, so to speak. This allows you to maintain hope and a sense of possibility while still being grounded in what is actually happening. This balanced approach is crucial for taking wise action. In practical terms, the middle way in healing means actively seeking out and following the best available conventional medical treatments, taking medications, undergoing therapies, following your doctor's advice, which is the aspect of right action. Simultaneously, it means cultivating inner peace and equanimity through your spiritual practice, which is the aspect of detachment. You do everything you can within the realm of medicine and science, but you release your tight grip on the outcome. You work hard to get better, but you do not stake your entire happiness on the result. This prevents you from falling into the trap of what is often called toxic positivity, where you feel pressured to only think positive thoughts and suppress any negative emotions like fear, sadness, or anger. The middle way understands that these emotions are natural and need to be acknowledged and felt, not denied. It also saves you from the opposite extreme of hopeless fatalism, where you believe nothing you do will matter and you just give up. By walking this middle path, you reduce the immense psychological pressure of needing to get better. The desire to heal is natural and healthy, but when it becomes a desperate, anxious need, it creates a state of internal stress that can actually slow down your recovery. The body heals best in a state of relaxation and safety, not in a state of frantic striving. When you practice the middle way, you are essentially giving your body permission to heal in its own time and in its own way. Without you constantly pushing and forcing it, you create a mental environment of allowing, which is far more conducive to the organic, complex processes of repair and regeneration. This approach also helps you deal with the ups and downs that are inevitable in any healing journey. Some days will be good, and some days will be bad. If you are attached to the good days, you will suffer when a bad day comes. If you are defeated by the bad days, you will not be able to appreciate the good ones. The middle way cultivates an even-mindedness that allows you to meet both with balance. On a good day, you enjoy it without clinging to it, knowing it is temporary. On a bad day, you care for yourself with compassion without falling into despair, knowing that this too shall pass. This emotional stability is a powerful medicine in itself. Furthermore, the middle way encourages you to find a healthy balance in your lifestyle and daily activities. It is about listening to your body's true needs instead of following rigid rules or extremes. Sometimes, the body needs rest, and the middle way advises rest without guilt. Other times, the body needs gentle movement, and the middle way encourages activity without overexertion. It is about eating nourishing foods without becoming obsessive or restrictive. It is about engaging with life and relationships without draining your energy, and knowing when to withdraw for solitude and replenishment. This balanced living supports your overall well-being and creates a solid foundation for healing to occur. In a deeper sense, the middle way is not just a strategy for healing, it is a reflection of the supreme health of nirvana itself, which is a state of perfect mental and emotional balance. As you practice finding this balance in your daily life, you are actually aligning yourself with that ultimate state of peace. You are learning to live with wisdom, where you see things as they are, without adding extra layers of craving or aversion. This wisdom brings a profound sense of freedom, even within the constraints of illness. You realize that your true health is not dependent on the condition of your body alone, but on the quality of your mind and heart. The middle way, therefore, transforms the entire healing journey from a battle to be won into a path to be walked with awareness and grace. It integrates all the other practices we have discussed: mindfulness, loving kindness, visualization, and so on, into a coherent and sustainable approach. You use these tools not to fight the illness, but to cultivate a mind that can meet the illness with wisdom and compassion. This is the essence of the middle way in healing. It is the art of balancing effort with surrender, action with acceptance, and hope with reality. It is a dynamic, living practice that you adjust moment by moment, always seeking the point of equilibrium that allows for the greatest peace and the most effective healing. By embracing this path, you are not just working towards a healthier body, you are cultivating a state of wholeness that can encompass any circumstance, and that is the greatest healing of all. And so, as we learn to walk the balanced path of the middle way, engaging fully in life and healing without being tossed about by its extremes, we naturally arrive at the final, most profound destination of this entire journey: the recognition and abiding in our own Buddha nature. This is not another technique to master or something new to achieve. It is the simple, staggering realization that everything we have been seeking, all that peace, wholeness, and health, is not something we need to find because it has been here all along, as the very core of who and what we are. Imagine for a moment that you have been carrying a precious jewel in your pocket your entire life, but you forgot it was there. You spent years searching for riches, feeling poor and lacking, all the while possessing this innate, radiant treasure. Buddha, nature, or Tathagatagarbha, is that jewel. It is the fundamental, pure, and luminous awareness that is your true essence. It is not created by your meditation practice, your good deeds, or your healthy habits. It is the unshakable ground from which all those activities arise. It is your innate potential for limitless wisdom and boundless compassion, and it is inherently, unchangeably whole and healthy. This is the ultimate healing because it redefines what healing even means. Conventional healing is relative. It is the movement from a state of disease to a state of health within the ever-changing conditions of the body and mind. But what if you could discover a health that is not dependent on those conditions? What if you could find a wellness so fundamental that it remains untouched, whether the body is temporarily sick or well? This is the health of Buddha nature. It is the profound understanding that what you truly are cannot be damaged, sickened, or destroyed. The body will experience pleasure and pain. The mind will experience joy and sorrow. But the aware, spacious consciousness that knows these experiences is itself pristine and complete. It is like the sky. Clouds of illness may pass through, storms of pain may rage, but the sky itself remains vast, clear, and utterly undamaged by the weather. Your true nature is that sky, not the passing clouds. Practices like Mahamudra from the Tibetan tradition or Dzogchen are designed not to build this nature up, but to help you recognize it directly. They are often called pathless paths because they point directly to the awareness that is already present. Instead of focusing on a specific object like the breath or a mantra, these practices invite you to rest in the natural state of your mind, just as it is, without altering or manipulating it. You learn to look directly at the nature of your own awareness. What is it that is aware of the thought? What is it that knows the sensation of pain? This turning of the awareness back upon itself can reveal a field of luminous emptiness, a clarity and peace that is not an experience among other experiences, but the very space in which all experiences arise and pass away. This recognition is the definitive healing. It does not necessarily make the physical pain vanish, though it can change your relationship to it so profoundly that the suffering around it dissolves. It means that even if the body is ill, the spirit, this essential nature, remains serene, clear, and compassionate. You are no longer identified as a sick person struggling against a disease. You are the vast, whole, compassionate awareness that is currently experiencing a body with an illness. This shift in identity is the most liberating event that can happen on the healing path. All the techniques we have explored, from mindfulness and loving kindness to visualization and the middle way, are not, in the end, about acquiring a state of health that you lack. They are skillful means, like cleaning a dirty window. The window is always capable of transmitting light perfectly, but layers of grime, our habits of grasping, aversion, and ignorance, have accumulated, making it seem dark and obscured. The practices are the cloth and the cleaner. They wipe away the dirt. But the perfect clarity and transparency of the glass, your Buddha nature, was never truly damaged. It was only hidden. The healing is in the removal of the veils, not in the creation of something new. This is why this understanding is so empowering. It means that you are not broken and in need of fixing. You are whole and in need of remembering. Your journey is not one of becoming healthy, but of unveiling the health that has always been there. This realization brings a profound sense of ease and relief. The frantic striving to get better can relax into a trusting abiding in what you already are. This does not mean you abandon medical treatments or healthy living. On the contrary, you engage with them more wisely. You take care of the relative body with great compassion and skill, but you do so from the unshakable peace of knowing your absolute nature. You become like a compassionate nurse tending to a temporary guest, the body, with great care, but without confusing the guest for the host. The host, your true self, is forever free. To dwell in this recognition is to live from a place of inherent freedom. Fear of death, degeneration, or permanent loss loses its grip because you see that what you are cannot die. It was never born. It is the timeless, aware space in which the drama of birth, life, and death unfolds. This is the end of seeking. You have arrived home. And from this home, you can meet all of life's circumstances with a heart of unconditional compassion and a mind of unshakable peace. This is the culmination of the healing journey Not a final destination where all pain is absent, but a fundamental homecoming where you realize that you were never truly sick to begin with. You were only dreaming of separation, and now you are awakening to the timeless, perfect health of your own true nature.